Good evening, my dear students. Welcome to the session whereby we'll be continuing with chapter number 10, which is the company audit. And students, before starting with the session for today, I would like to ask you all that whether you have done the homework that I gave to you, that was with respect to illustration, Hannah, and further, have you learned section 141 and section 139 and also some part of section 140, that is still where we have done in the last two sessions. Okay? So quickly send in your replies, then we will quickly start because I have a lot of things to cover today. So good evening, Parth, Pooja, Sandeep, Surbhi. Others also, please send your replies. In case of any queries, then also send. Whether you have learned or not, then also send your replies. Okay? So the next 5 seconds and then I'll be starting with the session. All homework done and all revised and learned also. That is good part. What about others? So Harsh is saying yes, ma'am. Chalo, good. So students, again, starting my lecture with a humble request that please start learning. Okay? Learning is very, 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 very important. सिर्फ understanding से काम नहीं चलेगा unless and until you learn. ठीक है? Law पढ़ रहे हो यार. You are studying audit, है ना? A commanded language is expected out of you. और वो कब आएगा जब you will read the module, you will start learning the keywords, the definitions. ठीक है? So we were doing section 139 and whereby almost we have covered the entire section. Okay, I have given you a homework with respect to certain illustrations. So what I'll do is, I'll quickly revise in the next 5-7 minutes the entire section and then the parts that we have left, we will be covering them and then we will move on to section number 140. Okay? And today I'll be starting with section 143 also. So be with me. Very important sections. All these 3 sections. Okay? So section 139 is with respect to what? Appointment of auditors, whereby we have studied that subsection 1 relates to appointment of subsequent auditor by the company other than government company, whereby we studied about rule 4 of the company's audit and auditor rules 2014, which contains 4 conditions with respect to which a certificate is to be obtained from the auditor. Okay? And there is a responsibility on the company to file with the registrar form ADT1, informing the registrar regarding the appointment of the auditor within 15 days of the meeting in which such appointment has taken place. Okay? Clear? Then with respect to section 139 subsection 5, we studied about appointment of subsequent auditor in government company. Subsection 6 relates to appointment of first auditor by company other than government company. Subsection 7 relates to appointment of first auditor by a government company. Okay? 139 subsection 8 we did casual vacancy. And here we also covered section 140, subsection 2 and 3 with respect to the responsibility on the auditor when he has resigned on a casual vacancy by way of resignation. Okay? Under section 139, subsection 9, we studied that the retiring auditor can be reappointed if the 3 things are satisfied. What are those? That he is not disqualified or for his reappointment, he has not given in writing to the company a notice with respect to what his unwillingness to be reappointed. And last, the company has not passed a special resolution that someone else will be appointed or providing expressly that this auditor will not be appointed. Okay? Section 139 subsection 10 was with respect to what? That in case no new auditor is appointed or reappointed, then the existing will continue. And with respect to section 139 subsection 11, we have seen that wherever audit committee is required to be constituted by the company, the recommendations of the audit committee are to be considered by the board of directors. Now, where is this section mentioned in your module? It is discussed under section 177. Then today we'll be discussing about what? Audit committee. Okay? Then I have left these 3 sections, subsections 2, 3 and 4. These are relating to your what? The term of auditor or the rotation of the auditor. And here I've left a topic which is relating to transitional period. Ria, your query will be sorted out in these sections. And Rule 3 is also left, which we'll be doing after doing section 177. Okay? So let me just take you through the module. Okay, we have seen the applicability 139.2 क्या कहता है, ठीक है? You all have seen this, ठीक है? So this was your homework. This point I have left, ठीक है? So it basically says that when the Companies Act, earlier there was Companies Act 1956 now. So Companies Act 1956 से when you moved on to Companies Act 2013, तो जब ये transition हुआ, this is what transitional period, ठीक है? So it says that when there has been a transition from Companies Act 1956 to Companies Act 2013, then certain time period has been given to a company. That company, after the commencement of Companies Act 2013, ठीक है? Within 3 years from the date of commencement, whatever first annual general meeting will be held by the company, in that general meeting, you should have complied with the provisions of section 139 subsection 2. Okay? So let's say under Companies Act 1956, the company has appointed an individual as an auditor for a tenure of, let's say, 6 years. Okay? And when 1 year was completed, this Companies Act 2013 came. So this point is talking about this situation as to where the company has already appointed an auditor for a tenure, and then in midst of the tenure, Companies Act 2013 came in, then a period of 3 years has been given to the company, 3 years from the date of commencement. So the first annual general meeting that will be held by the company after 3 years from the date of commencement, in that annual general meeting, company, you must have complied with the provisions. So basically this point wants to say that company, we understand कि एकदम से ऐसे transition करना, because you have already appointed an auditor, so that is not, feasibly, practically possible. So ठीक है, we give you a period of what? 3 years from the date of commencement of the act. कि 3 years के बाद, whatever will be the first annual general meeting, the provisions of these acts, this section should have been complied with. ठीक है? अभी better understanding के लिए we'll be discussing the illustration. ठीक है? So अभी please wait. हाँ, ठीक है. I'll explain each and every one of your doubt. Ria, your doubt will be cleared. Abhi wait. समझ आया? What is transitional period? When you are coming from where? The complying with the provisions of Companies Act 1956 to the date of the Companies Act 2013. So what is to be done? So सबसे पहले तो 3 साल का time दे दिया गया है, that after 3 years from the date of commencement of this act, whatever will be the first annual general meeting held by the company, in that annual general meeting, the provision should have been complied with. So what is mentioned? See, every company existing on or before the commencement of this act is what? Your Companies Act 2013, which is required to comply with the provisions of this subsection. कौन सा subsection? Subsection 2 shall comply with the requirements of this subsection within a period which shall not be later than the date of first annual general meeting held by the company. कब? After 3 years from the date of commencement of this act. ठीक है? अभी के लिए maybe understanding थोड़ा सा कम होगा, because we will look at the examples how they have been explained in the illustration. ठीक है? उसके बाद these points we have done. ठीक है? रूल 6 मैंने आपको बता दिया था, दैट ऑडिट कमिटी बताता है रोटेशन ऑफ ऑडिटर में, दैट हु विल बी कमिंग इन प्लेस ऑफ गवर्नमेंट ऑडिटर, एंड वेयर देयर इज नो ऑडिट कमिटी, बोर्ड विल मेक द रिकमेंडेशन. ये कर दिया था हमने. ठीक है? ये थर्ड वाला पॉइंट भी मैंने छोड़ दिया था. सो लेट अस हैव अ लुक एट दीज पॉइंट्स. बहुत सिंपल है. लेट अस सी क्या क्या लिखा है इसके अंदर. सी, इट सेज with respect to the rotation of the auditor, first of all it says that prior to commencement of this act, if any auditor holds the office as an auditor of the company, so that period will be considered while calculating 5 consecutive years or 10 consecutive years. ठीक है? So what is this saying? That before the commencement of the Companies Act 2013, if before that the auditor was holding the position as an auditor in a company, so that period will also be counted. ऐसा नहीं होगा that already he was holding 2 years, 2 years से he was the auditor of the company and then this act came. तो ऐसा नहीं है कि उसके बाद 5 years के लिए he can be appointed. These 2 years will be counted. ठीक है, कैसे काउंट करना है अगेन इलस्ट्रेशंस के लिए प्लीज नोट. ठीक है, point number 2 is very simple. It says that if the incoming partner, incoming firm is associated with the outgoing firm, let's say they are under the same trademark, they are using the same brand name or the trademark, then both the firms are ineligible for appointment. ठीक है, that is if the outgoing firm it has completed 2 terms of 5 consecutive years. ठीक है, और जो इनकमिंग फर्म है ना, जो न्यू फर्म अपॉइंट हो रही है, दे बोथ द फर्म्स आर एसोसिएटेड, दे आर अंडर सेम ट्रेड नेम और द ब्रांड नेम, सो द इनकमिंग आल्सो बिकम्स व्हाट, इनएलिजिबल. समझ आता है? ठीक है. देन इट सेज दैट फॉर द पर्पस ऑफ ब्रेक, जो ब्रेक है दैट इज द कूलिंग पीरियड, that should be a period of continuous period of 5 years. ऐसा नहीं है कि auditor 4 years के लिए was the auditor of the company, then there was a break of 2 years and then again he can be appointed as an auditor for 5 years. No, there need to be a break of 5 continuous year, तभी that will be called as a cooling period. 5 years and that too what, continuous. ठीक है, बीच में 1 साल का ब्रेक है, 2 साल का ब्रेक है, दैट विल नॉट बी कंसीडर्ड एज अ ब्रेक. तो कूलिंग पीरियड नीड टू बी 5 years एंड दैट नीड टू बी व्हाट, कंटिन्यूअस. ठीक है, सो अगेन आई लाइक टू रिपीट इट हियर दैट ये सारे पॉइंट्स विल बी मोर क्लियर वंस विल गो थ्रू दीज इलस्ट्रेशंस. ठीक है, एंड इन फैक्ट बिफोर दिस इलस्ट्रेशन लेट अस टेक दिस इलस्ट्रेशन. सो इट सेज दैट बी विद मी, this is a case of what, audit firm. ठीक है, the Companies Act 2013 section 139 subsection 2 क्या कहता है, that 2 terms of 5 consecutive years, that is in total 10 years के लिए an audit firm can be appointed as an auditor. ठीक है, clear? Now it says ठीक है, और हमने अभी तक क्या क्या देखा, दैट ब्रेक कंटिन्यूअस 5 years का होना चाहिए. देन वी सॉ दैट द पीरियड फॉर विच द ऑडिटर वाज होल्डिंग द ऑफिस एज एन ऑडिटर prior to the commencement of this act will also be considered while you are calculating these 10 years. ये भी देखा हमने. ठीक है, now see number of consecutive years for which an audit firm has been functioning as an auditor in the same company in the first AGM held after the commencement of the provisions of section 139(2). So already उसने कितना होल्ड किया हुआ था, it is given. ठीक है, now we know एक्ट आने के बाद 3 years का टाइम तो एक्ट देता है, that 3 years के लिए you can continue with the same auditor, but जब भी first annual general meeting होगी after 3 years of commencement, in that annual general meeting there should be compliance to the act. ठीक है, and you know that section 139 subsection 2 says कि 10 years के लिए maximum an audit firm can be appointed as an auditor of a company. ठीक है, so here it says that 10 years के लिए the company was already the auditor of the auditor was already holding the position of an auditor in the company before the commencement of this act. ठीक है, so अब act has given a period of 3 years कि this period में ना, in this 3 years we are giving you a relaxation कि इन 3 सालों में you can continue with the same auditor, but whenever will be the first annual general meeting held after the 3 years of commencement of the act, then you should have been complied with this section. ठीक है, अब already 10 years हो चुके हैं, had this provision been not there, 3 years का टाइम नहीं दिया होता, तो फिर तो 10 years हो चुके हैं ना as per 139 subsection 2, फिर तो this auditor could not have hold the position as an auditor for further years. ठीक है, but since 3 years का टाइम है, so he can hold the office as an auditor of this company for a further period of 3 years, which is what your transitional period. 1956 एक्ट से यहाँ आने के लिए 3 साल का टाइम दे दिया है कि 3 साल के लिए you can consider, but whenever there will be first AGM after 3 years of commencement of the act, at that first AGM you should have complied with the provisions of this act. ठीक है, 9 years है, ठीक है. Had this provision not been there, कि 3 साल का टाइम नहीं देते, and section 139 subsection 2 ने क्या बोल दिया है, that before the commencement of this act, if the auditor is holding the position as an auditor, that will be included in calculating these 10 years. ठीक है, तो अगर ये प्रोविजन नहीं होता फिर तो मेरा आंसर यहाँ 1 year होता ना, कि 9 years के लिए 1956 कंपनीज एक्ट 1956 में होल्ड किया, 1 year के यहाँ पे होल्ड कर सकते हैं. बट सिंस 3 years का टाइम पीरियड, ट्रांजिशनल पीरियड हैज बीन गिवन, तो कितना आ जाएगा, 3 years. The firm can hold the office for a further period of 3 years. See, though the total becomes 12 years, but since there is a provision of this 3 years, एक relaxation दिया हुआ ना, इसकी वजह से auditor can hold the office for a further period of 3 years. ठीक है, same way 8 years है. Had this provision not been there, फिर तो यहाँ 2 years आता है, because total भी नो 10 years होता है. बट 3 साल के लिए तो बोल ही रखा है ना कि आप कंटिन्यू कर सकते हो, because this is a transitional period. ठीक है, tell me now, give me the reply with respect to 7 years. I know the answers are in front of you, but try to think logically that if the auditor was already holding the office as an auditor of a company for a consecutive year of 7 years before the commencement of this act, so further, for how many years can the auditor hold the office as an auditor of that company after the commencement of this act? ठीक है, so it will be what, 3 years. As per section 139 subsection 2 भी 3 years ही बोलता है ना, because total of 10 years है ना. And as per this provision also which we have discussed, let me just show that again, you can see every company existing on or before the commencement of this act, this is what provision to subsection 2. ठीक है, before the commencement of this act, which is required to comply with the provisions of this subsection, shall comply with the requirements of this subsection within a period which shall not be later than the date of first annual general meeting after 3 years from the date of commencement of this act. So I can say that a relaxation of 3 years have been given, कि आपको 3 साल का टाइम देते हैं, बट उसके बाद जो भी एजीएम है ना उसमें कंप्लाई कर लेना. ठीक है, क्लियर है ना. So many of you have answered correctly. ठीक है, now with respect to 6 years, that the auditor was already holding the office as an auditor of that company for 6 years prior to the commencement. ठीक है, now if you look at the section 139 subsection 2, it says what, that total should be 4 years, total should be 10 years, and the period for which the auditor was holding the office prior to the commencement of the act, that shall be included. तो 6 years include किया, तो total is what, 4 years. ठीक है, and अगर ये 3 साल का clause देखो तो this is also satisfied here. ठीक है, 5 years है. So again यहाँ पे अब सब क्या अप्लाई हो रहा है, section 139 subsection 2 है ना, कि total should be what, 10 years. पर यहाँ पे since 3 years extra मिल रहे थे, तो what was it, provision to subsection 2 was getting applicable. ठीक है, समझ आया, समझ आया. Riya, tell me whether your doubts are cleared or not. ठीक है, so and Riya is asking, ma'am, what is meant by continuous period of 5 years? So I have told you that in order to satisfy the condition of cooling period that we discussed in section 139 subsection 2, that no company shall appoint an individual as an auditor for more than 1 term of 5 consecutive year, and 2 audit firm के लिए 2 terms of 5 consecutive year. Further, once the audit firm has been appointed, then the company shall not appoint it for a period of 5 years from the date of completion of the term. पढ़ा था ना कि 5 years का cooling period होना चाहिए. So that needs to be a continuous period. ऐसा नहीं कि 1 साल का break हुआ and then again he is an auditor. No, 5 years continuously should be the cooling period. ठीक है. So quickly tell me whether it is clear or not, and Ria, you also reply with respect to your queries. ठीक है. So with this we have finished section 139 subsection 2. But if you remember that with respect to section 139, I've told you that rule 3 भी है with respect to appointment of subsequent auditor. ठीक है. ठीक है. So we'll be doing rule 3 with respect to what manner of appointment of an auditor. ठीक है. So before concluding on section 139, let me just take you through the rule. But yes, before that, let us just quickly do the provisions with respect to audit committee. ठीक है. Students, I hope that transitional period वाला topic is clear. कोई भी doubt है, please send in your queries. So, provisions relating to audit committee. So, audit committee, the provisions with respect to audit committee are contained in section 177 of the Companies Act 2013. ठीक है. Yes, Rohan, after the end of the cooling period, the firm can be appointed as again appointed as the auditor of the company. Cooling period किस लिए दिया है? Because familiarity threat ना हो ना to independence. उसके बाद तो cooling period का मतलब ये है कि 5 years के लिए, let's say an individual है, तो 5 साल के लिए he is an auditor, then 5 years का cooling period, then again he can be appointed for the next 5 years. ठीक है. अब I'll not be taking any more doubts with respect to that section as of now. At the end of the section I'll take, but abhi we are doing what? Section 177. ठीक है. Rohan, is your doubt clear? So, section 177 contains the provisions with respect to what? Audit committee. ठीक है. So, first of all, let us just have a look as to who or like which all companies are required to constitute an audit committee. ठीक है. So, every public listed company is required to constitute an audit committee. ठीक है. So see, public listed company को तो audit committee constitute करनी ही करनी है. ठीक है. Other than the listed companies, I can say unlisted public companies के लिए what is the criteria that will be discussing. ठीक है. So private company के लिए there is no requirement कि उनको audit committee constitute करनी है. ठीक है. So public listed company को mandatorily they have to constitute an audit committee in terms of with respect to provisions contained in section 177. ठीक है. With respect to unlisted public companies, ठीक है, if they have the paid up share capital of more than equal to 10 crores, ठीक है, or if the public companies, see all public companies में कौन आ गया? Unlisted ही तो बचा ना, because listed के लिए तो we have said that listed public companies they have to constitute audit committee. तो unlisted ही तो बचा ना. So this is the first condition, like first criteria, that if the paid up share capital is more than equal to 10 crores, so that company has to constitute an audit committee. ठीक है. If the turnover of the company is more than equal to 100 crores, then also they have to constitute audit committee. This is what, or if any of these conditions is satisfied, ठीक है, or if the public companies, that is unlisted public companies, they have in aggregate outstanding loans or borrowings or debentures or deposits exceeding 50 crores. Students, be careful. Here is what? More than equal to 10 crores. More than equal to 100 crores. But this is what? More than 50 crores. है ना? So if a company is what? It is a public company which is not listed. then if any of these conditions, these are connected by what? Or. So if any of these conditions are satisfied, they will have to constitute an audit committee. Okay? So so listed public companies, so all the public companies who are listed, which are listed, they need to constitute an audit committee. Okay? Unlisted public company के लिए what is the criteria? If the paid up share capital is more than equal to 10 crores, or if the turnover is more than equal to 100 crores, or if the aggregate of outstanding loan, borrowings, debentures or deposits is more than rupees 50 crores. Okay? And this is to be seen, the above requirements are to be seen as per the date of the last audited financial statement. Whatever is the last audited financial statement, so on the date, that is at the end of that year, whatever paid up share capital, turnover or aggregate outstanding loan is coming, that need to be considered. Okay? Clear? Okay? So this was with respect to what? Applicability of section 177, or as to which companies have to constitute an audit committee. Okay? Now, what is an audit committee? Okay? So see students, in the last 2 decades, there have been increase in the cases of frauds that have occurred in the companies. Okay? So the regulators, the authorities, they have, considered it proper to constitute an internal mechanism within the company, whereby there can be a check on various financial matters, financial transactions of the company. Okay? So that is why the concept of audit committee is there. So basically, like, they supervise the financial functioning of an organization. Like, they review the intercorporate loans that have been given, okay, whether it is as per the rules and regulations or not. Okay? They overview the related party transactions. Okay? So these are certain functions that are performed by an audit committee. They also, they ensure better standards of corporate governance. What is corporate governance? The system by which a company is directed, the company is controlled. So they increases the standards by which the company is being governed. Corporate governance. You will be studying in detail about corporate governance at your finals. Okay? So section 177 says that in सब companies को constitute करना है audit committee को. और audit committee क्या होता है? I've told you that this committee, अच्छा चलो ठीक है, और देखते हैं audit committee के बारे में. See, this committee should consist of minimum 3 directors. Minimum 3 directors should be there with majority of independent directors. It should consist of what? Minimum 3 directors होने चाहिए with majority, with majority of what? Independent directors. ठीक है? And with respect to auditors, what all functions an audit committee perform. So if you remember section 139 subsection 11, that audit committee ka recommendation ko board of directors ko, they need to consider the recommendation given by the audit committee. So we can say that one of the functions that is performed by audit committee is recommendation for appointment of the auditor. Recommendation with respect to what? Remuneration of the auditor. Recommending the terms of appointment of the auditor. Okay? Reviewing, monitoring the auditor's independence and performance and effectiveness of the audit process. So it is the duty, it is the function of the audit committee to see whether an auditor is independent or not, whether the performance, whether there is effectiveness in the audit process or not. Okay? So they also examine the financial statement and the auditor's report. Okay? Further, they ensure better standards of corporate governance. And students, if you remember, in chapter number 3, we have discussed in detail, in fact, in chapter number 1 also, the difference between management and those charged with governance. Okay? And if you remember, we discussed that management is responsible with respect to executory functions, day-to-day executions. But those charged with governance are those which supervise all those functions, like mergers, acquisitions ka dekhte hain, strategic decisions lete hain. And that time I told you that audit committee is included in those charged with governance. ठीक है? तो समझ आया? Try to relate it. ठीक है. So अभी के लिए you need to understand only this, that minimum 3 directors should be there, whereby majority of the directors should be independent directors. The function is what? Recommendation for appointment, for the remuneration, for the terms of appointment of the auditor, reviewing and monitoring the auditor's independence, performance and effectiveness of audit process, examination of financial statement and auditor's report, like reviewing the financial statement and the auditor's report, and ensuring better standards of corporate governance. ठीक है. And if you remember, I told you that 139 subsection 11 is mentioned when we'll be discussing section 177. So it is mentioned here, where a company is required to constitute an audit committee under section 177. These 3 circles, they talk about what? Unlisted public company. So where the paid up capital is more than equal to 10 crores, where the turnover is more than equal to 100 crores, or where the aggregate outstanding loans, borrowings, debentures, deposits is more than what? 50 crores. ठीक है. और इसको कब देखोगे? All these criteria are to be seen as existing on the date of the last audited financial statement shall be taken into account for the purpose of this rule. Clear? And we have seen that these are what the functions of audit committee, that recommending appointment, remuneration, terms of appointment, reviewing, monitoring auditors' independence, performance effectiveness, examination of financial statement and auditor's report, and it will constitute of what? Minimum 3 directors, including what? Independent directors with majority. Besides this, they also helps in ensuring better standard of corporate governance. What is corporate governance? The system by which the company is controlled. Okay? The system by which the company is directed. Okay? And that's it about what? Your audit committee. Okay? Now, once you have understood about audit committee, now we are in a better position to discuss the manner and procedure of selection of auditors, which are given by Rule 3 of Companies Audit and Audit Rule 2014. If you remember, when I was discussing with you section 139, subsection 1, at that time I told you that the auditor will be appointed in the manner prescribed. So, with respect to section 139, Rule 3 is the topic which is left now. After completing this topic, our entire section 139, which is very, very important, will be complete. Okay? So quickly, see, this is very simple. Just be with me. Just try to, logically think, ki, acha, aise hoga. There are certain steps and you need to consider all those things. Just a moment. So we are discussing what? The manner. Just a minute. Just a minute. Yes. Rule 3 of the Companies Audit and Auditor Rules 2013 with respect to what? Manner and procedure of selection and appointment of auditor. ठीक है? ध्यान से सुनना, listen to it as a story. I'm sure you will be able to remember all the points in sequence. ठीक है? अभी don't start copying because these are my shortcuts. You might get confused. Just listen to me. See. What is the manner and procedure of selection of appointment of auditor? So it is given in Rule 3 of the Companies Audit and Auditor Rules 2014. ठीक है? So, if there is an audit committee, अब आपको पता चल गया that section 139 subsection 11 says अगर audit committee है तो जितने भी appointments of the auditor will be made, including casual vacancy का filling, it will be done after considering the recommendation of what? Audit committee. इतना हमने पढ़ लिया. So, अगर audit committee है, so audit committee, और अगर audit committee नहीं है तो board. ठीक है? So if there is audit committee, the company is required to constitute an audit committee, then the responsibility is on audit committee. And if the company is not required, then the board of directors. ठीक है? तो क्या करना है इनको? Let us see. See, before appointing an auditor, na, as an auditor of the company, it is so obvious na, that the audit committee or the board of directors, whoever are responsible, they will consider the qualification and the experience of the auditor. है ना? अगर रिलायंस का ऑडिट करना है, सो दैट ऑडिटर मस्ट have that experience to conduct the audit effectively of such a big organization, है ना? So first of all, where the company is required to constitute audit committee, the audit committee, or where the company is not required to constitute an audit committee, then the board, they shall consider the qualification and the experience of the auditor, and they'll see whether it is commensurate with the size and requirements of the company. ठीक है, whether it is adequate, ठीक है, with the size and requirement of the company. Clear? Simple. Further, when the audit committee recommendation, when the audit committee is making the recommendation or the board is making the recommendation, अब ये तो आपको पता है कि किस केस में board करेगा, किस केस में audit committee करेगी. Second point is that they will consider that if there is an order or any pending proceeding against that audit firm with respect to professional matters of conduct before either ICAI or any competent authority or court. किसी को अपॉइंट करने जा रहे हो उससे पहले देखोगे ना कि इनके अगेंस्ट कोई प्रोसीडिंग तो नहीं है, कोई पेंडिंग प्रोसीडिंग्स तो नहीं है बाय कंपीटेंट अथॉरिटी, बाय ICAI और बाय एनी कोर्ट. चेक तो करोगे ना, है ना? बिकॉज यू आर अपॉइंटिंग देम एज एन ऑडिटर. सो सबसे पहले देखिए उनका क्वालिफिकेशन एक्सपीरियंस क्या है, वेदर इट इज एडिक्वेट, कमेंसुरेट विद द साइज एंड रिक्वायरमेंट्स ऑफ द कंपनी. कोई बहुत छोटी सी ऑडिट फर्म है, उसको रिलायंस का ऑडिट मिल गया, विल दैट फर्म बी एबल टू कंडक्ट इट इफेक्टिवली? नहीं. टीम इज रिक्वायर्ड, रिसोर्सेज आर रिक्वायर्ड, कुछ सॉफ्टवेयर की नॉलेज आर रिक्वायर्ड. इफ दैट ऑडिट फर्म इज नॉट हैविंग, दे वोंट बी एबल टू गिव एन इफेक्टिव एंड एफिशिएंट ऑडिट ऑन अ टाइमली बेसिस. ठीक है. देन सेकेंडली ये भी तो देखोगे ना कि कोई प्रोसीडिंग तो नहीं है, कोई ऑर्डर पेंडिंग तो नहीं है, एंड ईदर द ऑडिट कमिटी और द बोर्ड जो भी एप्लीकेबल है, दे विल कॉल सच इंफॉर्मेशन एज दे डीम फिट. इतना समझ आया? फर्स्ट स्टेप सिंपल है. व्हाट इज द मैनर एंड प्रोसीजर ऑफ सिलेक्शन एंड अपॉइंटमेंट? जहां ऑडिट कमिटी है वहां ऑडिट कमिटी, जहां ऑडिट कमिटी नहीं है वहां पे बोर्ड कंसीडर करेंगे क्वालिफिकेशन एक्सपीरियंस, वेदर इट इज कमेंसरेट विद द साइज एंड रिक्वायरमेंट ऑफ द कंपनी. कोई ऑर्डर, कोई पेंडिंग प्रोसीडिंग्स तो नहीं है अगेंस्ट दैट ऑडिट फर्म. किस चीज की प्रोसीडिंग? प्रोफेशनल मैटर्स ऑफ कंडक्ट. बाय होम? बिफोर ICAI, competent authority or the court. ठीक है. And these two will call such information as it deem fit. समझ आता है? आता है. ठीक है. अब जहां पे ऑडिट कमिटी है, ऑडिट कमिटी अपना रिकमेंडेशन किसको देगी? टू द बोर्ड. ठीक है. और जहां पे ऑडिट कमिटी नहीं है, ये सब कंसीडर करने के बाद बोर्ड शैल गिव इट्स ओन रिकमेंडेशन. ठीक है. तो बोर्ड अपना रिकमेंडेशन देगा. ये भी सिंपल है. जहां ऑडिट कमिटी है वहां ऑडिट कमिटी रिकमेंड करेगी. ठीक है. When now with respect to ये वाला point, there are two further points which says that when audit committee has given the recommendation का क्या मतलब है कि इस वाले फर्म को, इस वाले ऑडिट फर्म को अपॉइंट करना चाहिए ऑडिटर ऑफ द कंपनी. ठीक है. और वो ही नेम किसको दे देंगे? बोर्ड को सजेस्ट कर देंगे. अगर ऑडिट कमिटी नहीं है तो बोर्ड अपना नेम फर्दर सजेस्ट कर देगा. किसको सजेस्ट करेगा बोर्ड फर्दर? AGM में ना, कि मेंबर्स देखो इनको अपॉइंट कर लेते हैं. ठीक है. Now, जब audit committee, when the audit committee has given the recommendation, if the board agrees, ठीक है, board को भी लग रहा है, audit committee says that ABC and associates को appoint कर लेते हैं as an auditor for a tenure for 2 terms of 5 consecutive year. ठीक है. auditor agree, board agree कर जाता है, तो board वही वाला name members को suggest कर देगा in the AGM. Clear? Because you have seen that subsequent auditor कौन अपॉइंट करता है in every AGM by the members. किया था ना, याद है ना, सेक्शन 139 सबसेक्शन 1 में. ठीक है. लेकिन अगर बोर्ड डिसअग्री करता है, ऐसा हो सकता है ना, बोर्ड को क्या लगे कि ABC एसोसिएट्स तो नहीं करना, XYZ एसोसिएट्स करना है. ठीक है. सो इफ द बोर्ड डिसअग्रीज विद द रिकमेंडेशन ऑफ द ऑडिट कमिटी, तो क्या करना है? बोर्ड विल रेफर बैक द रिकमेंडेशन टू ऑडिट कमिटी. उसको वापस से भेज देगा वही रिकमेंडेशन फॉर रिकंसिडरेशन. दैट ऑडिट कमिटी, लिसन, यू हैव कंसीडर्ड ABC एंड एसोसिएट्स ना, हमें ये ठीक नहीं लग रहा है, प्लीज रिकंसीडर योर रिकमेंडेशन. किसी और का नाम दो, आप एक बारी देख तो लो आपने ये ठीक किया है या नहीं. सो रेफर बैक रिकमेंडेशन टू ऑडिट कमिटी फॉर रिकंसिडरेशन, साइटिंग द रीजंस. ये रीजंस है व्हाई वी डोंट वांट टू अपॉइंट ABC एंड एसोसिएट्स. आप भी रिकंसीडर कर लो. किसको बोला? बोर्ड, ऑडिट कमिटी को. किसने बोला? बोर्ड ने. व्हाई? बिकॉज उन्होंने डिसएग्री किया, तो अपने रीजंस भी देने. क्लियर है, सिंपल स्टोरी चल रही है ना, ठीक है। उसके बाद व्हेन द बोर्ड हैज रेफर्ड बैक द रिकमेंडेशन ऑफ ऑडिट कमिटी अलॉन्ग विद द रीजंस, है ना, और ऑडिट कमिटी कहती है कि नहीं, आई वांट टू अपॉइंट एबीसी एंड एसोसिएट्स ओनली, ठीक है, मेरे को ठीक लग रहा है, योर रीजंस आर इनवैलिड, सो व्हाट विल बोर्ड डू? After considering the reasons, this arrow is what reasons of board, audit committee decides not to reconsider its original recommendation. Audit committee decides कि मेरे को reconsider नहीं करना, मेरे को तो इन्हीं को अपॉइंट करना है। Board shall record the reasons for its disagreement, है ना, रिकॉर्डिंग में लिखेगा कि किस लिए एबीसी एसोसिएट्स को they don't want to appoint and send its own recommendation to the members in the AGM. उसमें मेंशन होएगा कि ऑडिट कमिटी ने इनको बोला था, these are my reasons and I want to appoint XYZ and associates. ये बोर्ड किसको भेजेगा? मेंबर्स को इन द AGM. सिंपल है। सेकेंड, when the board has referred back to audit committee कि भाई कंसीडर कर लो, हम तो XYZ को करना चाहते हैं, ABC को नहीं करना चाहते, एंड ऑडिट कमिटी कहता है कि नहीं, एबीसी एसोसिएट्स को ही करना है, और यहाँ पे बोर्ड अग्री कर जाता है, अच्छा चलो ठीक है, एबीसी एंड एसोसिएट्स को कर लो, देन ऑडिट द बोर्ड शैल प्लेस दैट मैटर फॉर कंसिडरेशन टू एजीएम, कि जो ऑडिट कमिटी ने एबीसी एंड एसोसिएट्स को बोला था, बोर्ड ने अब अग्री कर लिया, तो वो ही क्या करेगा, बोर्ड विल सेंड द नेम टू the members in AGM, and the audit firm who is appointed as an auditor, the auditor who is appointed as an auditor in that AGM will hold the office as an auditor till the conclusion of the 6th AGM, till the conclusion of the 6th AGM, ठीक है। So that is why we mention ना 2 terms of 5 consecutive years, एक साथ 10 सालों के लिए नहीं अपॉइंट होता है, एक बारी तो 5 years के लिए ही अपॉइंट होता है, देन अगेन 5 years के लिए, ठीक है। सो दैट इज व्हाई व्हाट 2 terms of 5 consecutive year, इसीलिए यहाँ पे क्या बोला, ही विल होल्ड ऑफिस टिल द कंक्लूजन ऑफ 6th AGM, देन अगेन उसी को अपॉइंट कर लेंगे another term of 5 consecutive years. सिंपल है ना। सो आई विल क्विकली रिवाइज इट विद इन नेक्स्ट 2 minutes. क्या बोला है, जहां ऑडिट कमिटी है वहां पर ऑडिट कमिटी, अदरवाइज जहां ऑडिट कमिटी नहीं है वहां कौन, बोर्ड। एक तो क्वालिफिकेशन एंड एक्सपीरियंस कंसीडर करेंगे, देन वेदर दैट इज एडिक्वेट commensurate with the size and requirements of the company, then whether any order or pending proceedings with respect to professional matters of conduct before ICAI competent authority या any court तो नहीं है, and call for such information as the deem fit, ठीक है। फिर क्या होगा, ऑडिट कमिटी है तो वो अपना नेम रिकमेंड करेगा, अपना सजेशन कि इस वाले ऑडिट फर्म को अपॉइंट कर लेते हैं, किसको, बोर्ड को। अगर ऑडिट कमिटी नहीं है तो बोर्ड अपना रिकमेंडेशन देगा, ठीक है। अगर ऑडिट कमिटी के रिकमेंडेशन से बोर्ड अग्री करता है तो वही वाला नेम, वही वाले ऑडिट फर्म को रिकमेंड कर देगा बोर्ड, किसको, मेंबर्स को एजीएम में। अगर डिसएग्री करता है तो रेफर बैक करेगा अलॉन्ग विद द रीजंस टू ऑडिट कमिटी कि देखो एबीसी एंड एसोसिएट्स को नहीं करना है, दीज आर माय रीजंस, ठीक है। ऑडिट कमिटी अगर आफ्टर कंसीडरिंग सेज डिसाइड्स कि नॉट टू रिकंसीडर, ठीक है, मेरे को नहीं रिकंसिडर करना, एबीसी करना है, देन देयर आर 2 situations. इफ बोर्ड अग्रीज तो फिर तो ठीक है, वही वाला नेम दे दो एजीएम में। इफ बोर्ड डजंट अग्री, देन रिकॉर्ड करना है रीजंस and send its own recommendation to the members, and the firm so appointed shall hold office till the conclusion of the 6th AGM, ठीक है, considering that meeting as the first AGM, ठीक है। So this is what is mentioned here, ठीक है। ये points form में है, I've explained this to you थोड़ा सा flow chart form में, so I hope it is clear. Simple है, जो मैंने बोला है वो ही है, so please go through this as a homework. We have discussed this in detail, पूरा अच्छे से किया है, बट एक रीडिंग करना, और अभी थोड़ा सा लेट मी जस्ट टेल यू। सो सी, अगर कॉन्स्टिट्यूट करना है ऑडिट कमिटी, जहां कॉन्स्टिट्यूट नहीं करना तो बोर्ड, तो वो क्या क्या कंसिडरेशन में लेंगे, क्वालिफिकेशन, एक्सपीरियंस, कमेंसरेट विद द साइज एंड रिक्वायरमेंट्स है, ठीक है। फिर ऑर्डर या पेंडिंग प्रोसीडिंग तो नहीं है, प्रोफेशनल मैटर्स ऑफ कंडक्ट ऑडिटर के अगेंस्ट ICAI or any competent authority or any court से, ठीक है, and they may call for such information as they deem fit, ठीक है। 3 points ये थे। Then company is required to constitute audit committee, तो audit committee recommend करेगी name, and if नहीं तो board shall consider and recommend its name to the members in the AGM, ठीक है। अगर बोर्ड अग्री करता है तो वही वाला नेम मेंबर्स को बोल देंगे इन द एजीएम. अगर बोर्ड डिसएग्री करता है तो रेफर बैक करना है citing the reasons. If audit committee after considering the reasons do not reconsider कि मेरे को नहीं करना reconsider, then there can be two situations. क्या? Then the board shall record the reasons for disagreement and send its own recommendation for consideration. ठीक है? And if board agrees with the recommendation, it shall place the matter for consideration by members in the AGM. Clear? Further, the auditor appointed in the AGM shall hold office from the conclusion of that meeting till the conclusion of sixth meeting with meeting wherein such appointment has been made as the first meeting. ठीक है? Clear? So with this we have completed section 139 with all the subsections. है ना? 11 subsections are there. We have seen each and every subsection and whatever rules were required to be studied along with the forms जो भी fill करने थे in this. ठीक है? So I hope it is clear. Now अच्छा ठीक है, ये भी देख लो. Remuneration. Auditors remuneration कौन decide करता है? Let us just quickly have a look. So it will be fixed in the general meeting और in such manner as determined therein. या तो जनरल मीटिंग में डिसाइड हो जाएगा या जनरल मीटिंग में मैंने डिसाइड हो जाएगा कि ये लोग डिसाइड करेंगे. However, फर्स्ट ऑडिटर केस में कौन अपॉइंट करेगा? द बोर्ड. ठीक है? बोर्ड में फिक्स इन केस ऑफ व्हाट? फर्स्ट ऑडिटर. ठीक है? एंड इन केस एनी अदर सर्विस हैज बीन रेंडर्ड बाय द ऑडिटर, जैसे टैक्स ऑडिट भी कर रहा है तो टैक्स ऑडिट की फीस विल बी सेपरेट ना. ये वाले ऑडिट की फीस, स्टैट्यूटरी ऑडिट की फीस विल बी सेपरेट. सो इट सेज दैट just a minute, does not include any remuneration paid to him for any other services. ठीक है? However, if any facility has been provided to the auditor, that will be included in the remuneration. So it has been clarified that remuneration to auditor shall also include any facility provided to him. लेकिन अगर कोई altogether separate service has been provided by the auditor, so उसका फीस तो अलग से होगा ना, उसको थोड़ी ना statutory auditor की फीस में आप इंक्लूड कर दोगे. सिंपल है. ठीक है? कौन डिसाइड करेगा? जनरल मीटिंग में मेंबर्स. हाउएवर फर्स्ट ऑडिटर का कौन डिसाइड कर सकता है? बोर्ड. क्लियर? क्विकली टेल मी, दिस इज व्हाट सेक्शन 142 ऑफ द एक्ट. ठीक है? सो इफ यू लुक एट दिस, नहीं अभी नहीं, रुको. क्लियर? सो वी हैव डन सेक्शन 141. लेट मी जस्ट टेक यू थ्रू दैट जस्ट अ मिनट. सो वी हैव डन section 139 is completed today with all the rules. Section 141 हमने फर्स्ट सेशन में स्टार्ट किया था and remuneration of auditor is also complete. ठीक है? And now we'll be completing section 140. ठीक है? And with respect to section 140, if you remember, we have already covered section 140 subsection 2 and subsection 3. ठीक है? So let us have a look as to what is section 140. So section 140, quickly send in your replies students. ये सब clear है? section 139 142 clear है? स्टोरी क्लियर? चलो गुड. ठीक है? So now section 140 and the name of the section is removal, resignation and giving of special notice. ठीक है? The resignation part we have already covered in section 140 subsection 2 and 3 when we were discussing what? Casual vacancy. ठीक है? So we saw that casual vacancy section 139 subsection 8 में था, but we saw that it can be due to what? Resignation. So there we have covered section 140 subsection 2 and subsection 3. Let us just quickly revise हमने क्या पढ़ा था. So this was the section. See, so this section 140, what is the name? It is what? Removal, resignation of auditor and giving of special notice. ठीक है? So section 140 subsection 2 and section 140 subsection 3 says that basically these two sections cast a responsibility on an auditor that if he is resigning from the office of an auditor of a company, then he cannot just go like that. he has certain responsibility. If he's resigning, he will have to tell, he shall tell the ROC, the company, as to what are the reasons. And in case of government company, to the registrar, to the company, and also to the CAG, बताना पड़ेगा ना कि क्या रीजन है, किस लिए रिजाइन कर रहे हो. ठीक है. So section 140 says that if an auditor has filed a resignation, he shall file within 30 days of the resignation form ADT 3 and in terms of rule 8 of the company's audit and auditor rules, with whom, with the ROC and with the company. And in case of the government company, ROC and company तो है, also with the CAG. ठीक है. उसमें क्या लिखा होगा, the whatever are the reasons, the facts. ठीक है. और अगर ऐसा नहीं करता तो subsection 3 of section 140 says that in case of failure, the auditor will be liable to pay rupees 50,000 or the remuneration of that assignment, whichever is less. And in case of continuing failure, the auditor will be liable to pay rupees 500 per day, and these will be subject to maximum of rupees 2 lakhs. ठीक है. So 140 है ना, subsection 2 and 3 we have done. ठीक है. Now subsection 1, section 140, subsection 1, it is having the responsibility on the company when the company is removing an auditor before the expiry of the term. ऐसे थोड़ा ना किसी भी auditor को remove कर दोगे. If an auditor has been appointed as the statutory auditor of the company and the company removes that auditor before the expiry of the term, then there are certain responsibilities on the company. ठीक है. See students, removal of an auditor before the expiry of the term, board resolution तो चाहिए ही, board meeting तो करनी ही पड़ेगी. Along with that, CG का approval, central government का approval भी लेना पड़ेगा. Along with that, special resolution भी pass करना पड़ेगा. ऐसे नहीं आप किसी भी auditor को या किसी chartered accountant को who is an auditor of your company, ऐसे नहीं आप किसी को भी remove कर सकते. So section 140 subsection 1 of the Companies Act 2013, it talks about what, removal of the auditor before the expiry of the term. ठीक है. So the name of section 140 was what? Removal, resignation of the auditor. तो resignation of the auditor तो हमने कहाँ डिस्कस कर लिया, section 140 subsection 2 and subsection 3. अब removal कहाँ डिस्कस कर रहे हैं, section 140 subsection 1. ठीक है. इसको भी listen to me as a story. I'm sure it is going to be very much clear. ठीक है. ठीक है. So see, when a company has to remove an auditor, ठीक है, so board meeting होएगा जिसमें board will be deciding with respect to removal of the auditor, and they will be deciding as to the application that has to be made to the central government seeking permission, prior permission for removing an auditor. ठीक है. Then after the board meeting, within 30 days of that board meeting, application to the central government along with the fees need to be filed. The fees need to be deposited and the application to the central government need to be filed. And what is the form ADT 2 and the rule 7 is what contains the provision with respect to this. ठीक है. That if a company wants to remove an auditor before the expiry of the term, तो board meeting होएगी जहां पे board will be discussing this matter. They will be discussing with respect to the application that is to be filed with the central government. ठीक है. Within the 30 days of that board meeting, application should have been filed with the central government. ठीक है. Once the approval from the central government is received, ठीक है, then the same a general meeting will be held within 16 days of the receipt of the approval. A general meeting of the members need to be held within 60 days of the receipt of the approval. Why? In order to pass a special resolution. And before passing a special resolution, the auditor will be provided with a reasonable opportunity of being heard. ठीक है. सो लेट अस जस्ट सी क्या है इसमें. देखो, रिमूवल ऑफ ऑडिटर इतना आसान नहीं है बिफोर एक्सपायरी ऑफ द टर्म. द शेयर होल्डर्स मस्ट नो ना कि ऐसा क्या हुआ कि इसको दैट ऑडिटर हैज टू बी रिमूव्ड बिफोर द एक्सपायरी ऑफ द टर्म. ठीक है. सो फर्स्ट ऑफ ऑल द बोर्ड मीटिंग विल बी हेल्ड वेयर बाय all the matters relating to removal of the auditor. And with respect to filing of application with the CG, ये सब discuss होगा. Within 30 days of that board meeting, application needs to be filed with the CG along with the fees to be deposited. ठीक है, ADT 2 and the Rule 7 of companies audit and auditor rules. अब जब approval आ गया है, within 60 days of the receipt of the approval, general meeting will be held whereby special resolution will be passed. है ना, special resolution is required, and a reasonable opportunity of being heard will be given to whom? To the auditor. That what he wants to say, है ना, audi altrum patum. The auditor will be given an opportunity of being heard when he is been removed before the expiry of the term. ठीक है, so section 140 subsection 1 imposes certain responsibility on the company before they want to remove the auditor before the expiry of the term. ठीक है, so see, according to section 140 subsection 1, the auditor appointed under section 139 may be removed from his office before the expiry of his term only by passing what? A special resolution and obtaining what? Previous approval. बाद में नहीं apply करना है, previous approval of central government in terms of what? Rule 7. ठीक है, so कैसे करना है? Application will be made along with the fees and application will be made in ADT 2. ठीक है, it will be made within 30 days of resolution passed by the board meeting. यहाँ पे I told you ना that पहले board meeting होगा, उसके 30 days के अंदर application will be made to the CG. ठीक है, the company shall hold the general meeting within 60 days of the receipt of approval for passing what? Special resolution, and before that what will be given? A reasonable opportunity of being heard will be given to the auditor. ठीक है, so this is what section 140 subsection 1. ठीक है, ये वाला जो topic है, this is what section 140 subsection 5. तो अभी रुको, 140 subsection 1, 2, 3 clear है. 1 क्या है? Removal of the auditor before the expiry of the term. Subsection 2 and subsection 3 क्या है? Resignation by the auditor. ठीक है, clear? 30 days and 60 days. Now, with respect to section 140 subsection 4. ठीक है, so we have done subsection 1 also. It says rule 7 के according ADT 2 में. ठीक है, now with respect to subsection 4, it means appointing auditor other than retiring auditor. ठीक है, तो अगर किसी auditor को remove करना है before the expiry of the term, then SR special resolution needs to be formed. ठीक है, now students, if you remember, we did in section 139 subsection 9. Let me just take you back to that subsection. Just a minute. Where is it? Just a minute. On page number 10.15, yeah. A retiring auditor may be reappointed if ऑडिटर खुद से डिस्क्वालिफाइड नहीं है, ऑडिटर्स ने खुद से अपनी अनविलिंगनेस नहीं दिखा दी, एंड a special resolution has not passed that meeting at that meeting appointing some other auditor or providing expressly that he shall not be appointed. ठीक है, so now we'll be discussing about this. So what is our subsection? Subsection 4. Just ठीक है, appointing of auditor other than retiring auditor, मतलब at the AGM it has been decided that appointing an auditor, a person other than retiring auditor, or providing expressly that the retiring auditor shall not be reappointed. ठीक है, so we'll be discussing about this. ठीक है. Now section 140 subsection 4 says that let's say the board of directors, ठीक है, see first of all this is not applicable, this whatever provisions we are now discussing, these will not be applicable in case where section 139 subsection 2 is applicable. Why? Because section 139 subsection 2 is applicable का क्या मतलब है? That if the term of the audit firm has expired और उसके बाद किसी और को अपॉइंट कर रहे हैं तो वो तो रोटेशन में हुआ ना, उसके लिए स्पेशल नोटिस थोड़ी ना रिक्वायर्ड है. See what we are doing, appointment of auditor other than retiring auditor. ठीक है. सो अगर टर्म फिनिश हो गया है और उसके लिए 139 सबसेक्शन 2 एप्लीकेबल है, तब वी आर नॉट डिस्कसिंग, उसके लिए स्पेशल नोटिस नहीं चाहिए किसी और को अपॉइंट करने के लिए. वो तो किसी और को अपॉइंट करना ही पड़ेगा ना, बिकॉज 5 years का कूलिंग पीरियड देना ही पड़ेगा ना. सो इन एनी अदर केस लाइक टर्म एक्सपायर नहीं हुआ, ठीक है, उससे पहले the company is saying that what we are not appointing this auditor or we are appointing someone else, तो वो कैसे होएगा? ठीक है. So let's say the board of directors were in the process of appointing the auditor, but before that a special notice by requisite number of shareholders, and special notice किस में रिसीव होता है? सेक्शन 115 में, है ना. By requisite number of shareholders, you must have done this in your company's law. So before that, a special notice is received by the company whereby the shareholders wants to pass a resolution at the AGM, that AGM with respect to what? Appointing a person other than the retiring auditor. So I mentioned RA जहाँ पे भी retiring auditor आएगा, ठीक है, कि मैं that the company will be appointing some other person or providing expressly that retiring auditor shall not be reappointed. ठीक है. So a special notice is received by the company कि the shareholders, a requisite number of shareholders are saying that either this person will not be appointed or some other person will be appointed. ठीक है. So when such notice is received, तो company, what is the responsibility of the company? Company will on receipt of such notice send a copy of such notice to the retiring auditor. ठीक है. अब जो रिटायरिंग ऑडिटर था उसका टर्म एक्सपायर नहीं हुआ था, ठीक है. इंडिविजुअल ऑडिटर है तो उसके 5 consecutive years कंप्लीट नहीं हुआ है, और अगर फर्म है तो 2 terms of 5 consecutive years मतलब 10 years कंप्लीट नहीं हुआ, ठीक है. उससे पहले उसको रिमूव कर रहे हैं. कंपनी को एक स्पेशल नोटिस मिला फ्रॉम द रिक्विजिट नंबर ऑफ मेंबर्स सेक्शन 115 में, दैट दे वांट टू अपॉइंट समवन एल्स या इसको नहीं अपॉइंट करना, ठीक है. कंपनी क्या करेगा? ऑन रिसीट ऑफ दैट नोटिस इन्फॉर्म किसको करना है? रिटायरिंग ऑडिटर को. आई हैव रिटन RA, ठीक है, जहां पे भी रिटायरिंग ऑडिटर है, दैट इज सेंड अ कॉपी टू रिटायरिंग ऑडिटर कि देखो भाई आपको हटाना चाह रहे हैं, ठीक है. रिटायरिंग ऑडिटर क्या बोलेगा? रिटायरिंग ऑडिटर विल गिव अ रिप्रेजेंटेशन इन राइटिंग, लिखित में देगा ना, इन राइटिंग, दैट दिस इज माय रिप्रेजेंटेशन, दीज आर द फैक्ट्स. अपना भी तो वो कुछ बताएंगे ना. सो रिप्रेजेंटेशन इन राइटिंग विल बी गिवन बाय द रिटायरिंग ऑडिटर टू whom? टू द company, ठीक है. And the retiring auditor may request its notification to the members. The retiring auditor can ask the company that company, सुनो, ठीक है, you have informed me, you have sent me a copy of the notice, special notice. अब आप सुनो, I am giving this representation in writing. Please mention in the notice of general meeting that I have given a representation. Please सभी members को जिसको भी आप notice दोगे for calling the AGM, please tell them that I have given a representation in writing. Request, retiring auditor may request its notification to members. Notify कर दो मतलब inform कर दो. Clear? ठीक है. फिर कंपनी क्या करेगी? कंपनी विल स्टेट द फैक्ट कि रिप्रेजेंटेशन मिला है इन नोटिस. जो भी नोटिस विल बी सेंड टू द मेंबर्स, एजीएम के लिए सब मेंबर्स को नोटिस जाएगा ना, उसमें मेंशन कर देंगे दैट आपका स्पेशल नोटिस मिला था, हमने रिटायरिंग ऑडिटर को इन्फॉर्म किया और उन्होंने हमें रिप्रेजेंटेशन दिया, ठीक है. एंड फैक्ट तो बताना ही है, साथ में देयर इज अ रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी ऑन द कंपनी टू सेंड अ कॉपी ऑफ द रिप्रेजेंटेशन टू एवरी मेंबर, है ना. In the notice calling the meeting, there the fact will be mentioned that the retiring auditor who has been for whose removal the resolution will be passed, he has given a representation. He has given a representation. Fact notice में mention करेंगे, and the company will also make sure to send the copy of the representation to every member. ठीक है. Let's say if the notice has already been sent to the members, ठीक है, ऑलरेडी नोटिस चला गया था मीटिंग का, उसके बाद रिप्रेजेंटेशन आया है, तो दिस सेक्शन सेज इवन बिफोर और आफ्टर सेंडिंग द नोटिस. अगर आपने ऑलरेडी मेंबर्स को नोटिस भी सेंड कर दिया ना, आप स्पेसिफिकली ये कॉपी ऑफ रिप्रेजेंटेशन भी सेंड करो. और अगर किसी इन केस सम ऑफ द नोटिस टू द मेंबर्स आर लेफ्ट, then along with that notice send a copy of the representation made by the retiring auditor to every member. Clear? ठीक है. Then if this notice is not, if this representation का copy is not sent, it might be possible ना that it was received too late. अब है ही नहीं टाइम, कल तो मीटिंग है, आप कैसे भेज दें. ठीक है. और because of company's fault, किसी भी वजह से the company was not able to send the copy of representation to every member, then auditor may require the representation to be read out at the meeting. See, we already know that auditor will be given an opportunity of being heard. ये अभी हमने पढ़ा था ना सेक्शन 140 सबसेक्शन 1 में, तो वो वाला राइट तो है ही है. बट इन केस द रिप्रेजेंटेशन इज नॉट बीन सेंट, किसी भी की भी गलती हो, ऑडिटर की है या कंपनी की है, ऑडिटर मे रिक्वायर that representation should be read out at the meeting. उसको पढ़ो members के सामने, and in case it is not sent to the members, ठीक है, then a copy will be sent to the registrar. registrar को आपको एक कॉपी भेजनी पड़ेगी. ठीक है. क्लियर है? ठीक है. क्लियर? तो आई रिपीट दिस अगेन, स्टोरी की तरह समझना, यू विल बी एबल टू अंडरस्टैंड. ठीक है. लॉजिकल है ना सब कुछ. ठीक है. तो सेक्शन 140 सबसेक्शन 4 सेज इट डील्स विद अपॉइंटमेंट ऑफ ऑडिटर अदर देन रिटायरिंग ऑडिटर. ठीक है. सो इफ अ स्पेशल नोटिस इज रिसीव्ड बाय द कंपनी, स्पेशल नोटिस किस में रिसीव होता है? सेक्शन 115 में रिक्विजिट नंबर ऑफ मेंबर्स एक नोटिस सेंड करते हैं कि हमें एक रेजोल्यूशन पास करना है अपॉइंटिंग अ पर्सन अदर देन द रिटायरिंग ऑडिटर, or providing expressly that the retiring auditor will not be appointed. ठीक है. कंपनी के पास ही नोटिस आया, सो कंपनी क्या करेगा? उसको ड्रॉर में रख देगा? नहीं, कंपनी विल सेंड अ कॉपी ऑफ दैट नोटिस टू द रिटायरिंग ऑडिटर. ठीक है. रिटायरिंग ऑडिटर क्या करेगा? ही विल गिव अ रिप्रेजेंटेशन इन राइटिंग. ठीक है. प्लस ही विल रिक्वेस्ट द कंपनी टू नोटिफाई इट टू द मेंबर्स. वो नोटिफाई कैसे होगा? नोटिस में जो कॉलिंग विद रिस्पेक्ट टू द नोटिस कॉलिंग द मीटिंग, उसमें मेंशन होएगा दैट सो एंड सो ऑडिटर, द रिटायरिंग ऑडिटर, ही हैज गिवन अ रिप्रेजेंटेशन. अलोंग विद दैट अ कॉपी ऑफ द रिप्रेजेंटेशन विल आल्सो बी सेंट इवन बिफोर और आफ्टर द नोटिस हैज बीन सेंट. अगर नोटिस ऑलरेडी जा चुका है तो दोबारा से भेज दो रिप्रेजेंटेशन, और नहीं गया तो उसके साथ भेज दो. इफ इट इज नॉट सेंट, ठीक है, बिकॉज इट वॉज रिसीव्ड टू लेट या कंपनी का कोई फॉल्ट था, तो ऑडिटर को अपॉर्चुनिटी ऑफ बीन हर्ड तो है ही एट द मीटिंग. अलोंग विद दैट ऑडिटर may require that representation to be read out at the meeting. Along with that a copy will be sent to the registrar of the company. ठीक है. क्लियर? सी ऑडिटर को भी तो होगा ना वृंदा, ऑडिटर को भी तो होगा ना दैट इफ आई एम बीन रिमूव्ड बिफोर द एक्सपायरी ऑफ द टर्म. ठीक है. रेजोल्यूशन पास हो रहा है कि मेरे को स्पेसिफिकली एक्सप्रेसली मेरे को अपॉइंट नहीं करना है या मेरी ऑडिट फर्म को अपॉइंट नहीं करना है, तो ऑडिटर मस्ट ऑल्सो बी विलिंग टू से हिज पॉइंट्स ना. रिप्रेजेंटेशन में सब कुछ लिखेगा ना कि व्हाट वाज द फॉल्ट या क्या मैटर था. सो दैट इज व्हाई रिप्रेजेंटेशन इज वेरी वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट, एंड इट इज अ ड्यूटी ऑन द कंपनी कि नोटिस में नोटिफाई करना है कि ऐसा रिप्रेजेंटेशन आया है, प्लस सेंड भी करना है टू ईच एंड एवरी मेंबर, जिसको भी आप जनरल में एजीएम का नोटिस कॉल करने के लिए एजीएम कॉल करने के लिए नोटिस सेंड करोगे. ठीक है. ठीक है, समझ आया? ठीक है. नाउ द लास्ट पॉइंट सेज दैट सपोज when the representation is to be made, ठीक है, the company has some information that the auditor is going to abuse this right which has been given under section 140 subsection 4. Abuse is what? Using it for the wrong purposes. ठीक है, maybe representation में auditor is going to mention the information which should not be publicly available. ठीक है. So in case the auditor, the company feels so, or any aggrieved person feels so, they can make an application to the tribunal. ठीक है, नेशनल लॉ और कंपनी ट्रिब्यूनल को एप्लीकेशन कर सकता है कौन? कंपनी और एनी अग्रीवीड पर्सन, कोई भी ऑफिसर, डायरेक्टर. एग्रीवीड इज व्हाट? एंग्री. ठीक है. इफ द ट्रिब्यूनल इज सेटिस्फाइड ऑन एन एप्लीकेशन बाय द कंपनी और एनी अग्रीवीड पर्सन दैट द राइट ऑफ रिप्रेजेंटेशन व्हिच इज बीन गिवन बाय सेक्शन 140 सबसेक्शन 4 इज बीन अब्यूज्ड बाय द ऑडिटर. व्हाट इज मेंट बाय अब्यूज्ड? मतलब कि यू आर यूजिंग इट इन एन इनएप्रोप्रिएट वे. You are mentioning such information which is not required to be mentioned in those representation. Then the tribunal may pass an order that the copy of such representation need not to be sent to the members, and the copy of the representation need not to be read out at the meeting. ठीक है. सो ट्रिब्यूनल क्या सीओ मोटो करेगा? नहीं. अगर ट्रिब्यूनल को कोई एप्लीकेशन दे देता है, कोई भी कंपनी दे सकती है, या कोई भी अग्रीवीड इज व्हाट? एंग्री पर्सन, है ना, जिसको इंफॉर्मेशन है कि ऑडिटर इज गोइंग टू अब्यूज द राइट व्हिच हैज बीन गिवन विद रिस्पेक्ट टू रिप्रेजेंटेशन. सो इट मे बी डिसाइडेड दैट इट विल नॉट बी सेंड, द कॉपी विल नॉट बी सेंड, एंड इट विल नॉट बी read out at the meeting. So this was with respect to section 140 subsection 4. Let us have a look at the module. ठीक है. आई बी टेकिंग योर डाउट्स लेटर ऑन. रुको, अभी मेरे को ब्रेक से पहले 140 सबसेक्शन 5 भी कंप्लीट करना है. Section 140 subsection 4 lays down procedure to appoint an auditor other than the retiring auditor who was removed. ठीक है. तो special notice shall be required for a resignation at an AGM. Appointing an auditor as auditor a person other than the retiring auditor, or providing expressly that a retiring auditor shall not be reappointed except, just a minute, except where retiring auditor has completed a consecutive tenure of 5 years, as the case may be 10 years as under section 139 subsection 2. देखो, वहां पर भी रिटायरिंग अपॉइंट नहीं होगा ना, बट वो तो सेक्शन 139 सबसेक्शन 2 के अंडर है ना, तो दैट विल नॉट बी कवर्ड अंडर सेक्शन 140 सबसेक्शन 4. ठीक है. ऑन रिसीट ऑफ सच नोटिस कंपनी क्या करेगा? इट विल सेंड इट टू व्हाट? रिटायरिंग ऑडिटर. रिटायरिंग ऑडिटर को जब वो नोटिस मिल जाएगा, रिटायरिंग ऑडिटर क्या करेगा? Where notice is given of such resolution and retiring auditor makes with respect thereto representation in writing to the company not exceeding its reasonable rate, and requests is notification to the members of the company. So unless representation is received too late, any company shall state the fact of the representation having been made. जो भी नोटिस आप दोगे कंपनी को, to the members को, तो you will mention that fact, and see this what? And send a copy of the representation to every member to whom notice of meeting is sent, whether before or after the receipt of the representation. अगर पहले भी आपने नोटिस भेज दिया ना, तो अब आपको रिप्रेजेंटेशन मिल गया ना, अब दोबारा से भेज दो, दोबारा से कुरियर स्पीड पोस्ट जो भी करवाना है करवा दो. ठीक है. एंड इफ द कंपनी and if a copy of the representation is not sent, either it was received too late or company default है, तो क्या होगा? The auditor may require that representation shall be read out without prejudice to the right of him being heard orally. Opportunity of being heard तो है ही है. Along with that, the auditor may require that the representation shall be read out at the meeting. ठीक है. लेकिन ऐसा भी तो हो सकता है ना, that the auditor may abuse such right. Abuse is what? Using it in an inappropriate way. So if the tribunal is satisfied on application either by the company or by any aggrieved person, कोई भी angry person like any officer, any director of the company, that the rights conferred under section 140 subsection 4, कौन से rights है? Representation का ही तो right है ना, of the Companies Act are being abused by the auditor, then the copy of the representation may not be sent and representation need not to be read out at the meeting. बताओ quickly, clear है? Section 140 subsection 4. Section 140 subsection 1 में हमने क्या किया? We discuss कि रिस्पॉन्स कैसे रिमूव होएगा कोई भी ऑडिटर, कि सीजी का अप्रूवल भी चाहिए, वो भी प्रायर अप्रूवल है ना, जी जनरल मीटिंग में एसआर चाहिए है ना, अपॉर्चुनिटी ऑफ बीइंग हर्ड देना है 30 डेज 60 डेज, ये सब हमने पढ़ा. 140 सबसेक्शन 4 क्या कह रहा है? अगर किसी और को अपॉइंट कर रहे हो या इसको नहीं कर रहे हो तो अब वो फर्दर स्पेशल रेजोल्यूशन भी जो आपने करना है वो कैसे होगा? दैट इज बीइंग डेट. Yes, partly correct. See, there is a responsibility on the company, Brinda, that representation shall be sent, है ना, notification देना पड़ेगा कंपनी को. बट अगर ऐसा कंपनी को लगता है कि right has been abused, then now it has to take a permission from who? The tribunal. ठीक है, ऐसे तो कोई भी कुछ भी कर सकता है ना ब्रिंदा. कंपनी को तो ऑलवेज ऐसा ही फील होगा कि रिप्रेजेंटेशन अच्छा नहीं है, ठीक नहीं है, इट इज प्रिजुडिशियल टू द इंटरेस्ट ऑफ द कंपनी. कंपनी को तो ऐसा ही फील होगा ना अगर ऑडिटर कुछ भी मेंशन कर रहा है. तो इसलिए इट हैज बीन गिवन, द रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी हैज बीन गिवन टू ट्रिब्यूनल टू डिसाइड एज टू इफ द कॉपी ऑफ द रिप्रेजेंटेशन इज नॉट टू बी सेंट और रिप्रेजेंटेशन नीड नॉट बी रेड आउट एट द मीटिंग. क्लियर वृंदा? एंड अदर्स ऑल्सो प्लीज रिप्लाई, क्लियर है या नहीं? ठीक है. So 140 subsection 4 हो गया. And now I told you that before taking a break, I'll definitely finish up with what? Section 140 subsection 5. ठीक है, बहुत सारा रहता है ये chapter. So be with me. ठीक है. So we have done section 140 subsection 4. ठीक है. Now with respect to subsection 5, this is with respect to what? Auditor acts in fraudulent manner or abated. Abated क्या था? इनिशिएट, किसी को उकसाना है ना गलत करने के लिए, और कल्यूडेड इन एनी फ्रॉड. ठीक है, अब देखते हैं क्या है सेक्शन 140 सबसेक्शन 5. ठीक है. सी, अगर लेट्स से कंपनी द ऑडिटर हैज एक्टेड इन सम फ्रॉडुलेंट मैनर, ठीक है, या किसी के साथ मिलके, किसी ऑफिसर के साथ मिलके ऑडिटर ने कोई फ्रॉड किया, तभी कंपनी रिमूव कर रही है ना, तभी तो स्पेशल रेजोल्यूशन पास हो रहा है, तभी तो सेंट्रल गवर्नमेंट का अप्रूवल आ रहा है. ठीक है. सो द नेक्स्ट थिंग इज प्रिजुडिशियल मीन्स हार्मफुल टू द इंटरेस्ट ऑफ द कंपनी. ठीक है सुरभि? ठीक है. सो सेक्शन 140 सबसेक्शन 5 now relates to direction by tribunal. ठीक है. So again listen to the story, it is going to be absolutely clear to you. ठीक है. So if the tribunal, the National Company Law Tribunal, if it is satisfied that the auditor has directly or indirectly acted in a fraudulent manner or abated or colluded in a fraud, ठीक है, अगर ट्रिब्यूनल इज satisfied, ठीक है, कि ऑडिटर ने कुछ फ्रॉड किया है या he has abated or colluded in a fraud in relation to the company or its director or officer, ठीक है, then the tribunal may direct the company to change the auditor. कंपनी को डायरेक्ट करेगा ट्रिब्यूनल कि भाई अपना ऑडिटर चेंज कर लो. Why? Because he has acted in a fraudulent manner. ठीक है. अब if you remember when we were doing section 140 subsection 4, यहाँ पे मैंने आपको क्या बताया था, that if tribunal is satisfied, कैसे, on an application by company या aggrieved person, कि ये जो रिप्रेजेंटेशन का राइट है this has been abused. ठीक है. अब यहां पे ट्रिब्यूनल कैसे satisfied है? Either suo moto on its own or an application by central government or application by any concerned person. ठीक है. So if the tribunal suo moto or if an application to it has been made by CG that देखो इस ऑडिटर ने फ्रॉड किया है, और एप्लीकेशन has been made by any person concerned, किसी ऑफिसर या डायरेक्टर ने कि देखो this auditor has committed, abated or colluded in a fraud, then if the tribunal is satisfied कि हाँ भाई किया है, तो what will tribunal do? It will direct the company to change the auditor कि भाई इस ऑडिटर को हटा दो. Why? Because he has or the firm has acted in a fraudulent manner or abated or colluded in a fraud. ठीक है, समझ आता है? And when an application has been received by what? Application has been made by central government. उस केस में स्पेसिफिकली ट्रिब्यूनल क्या बोलेगा कि इस ऑडिटर को हटा दो, बट विद इन हाउ मेनी डेज? As quick as within 15 days of the receipt of the application. 15 दिनों के अंदर अंदर सीजी के पास गया है ना, सीजी ने इन्फॉर्म किया है, ठीक है? तो within 15 days of the receipt of application, tribunal shall make order that the auditor shall not function as an auditor of the company. And CG may order that the tribunal may order that the CG may appoint another auditor. ठीक है? So what we are discussing, that if the tribunal is satisfied that the auditor has acted in a fraudulent manner or has abated or colluded in a fraud with reference to the company or the officer of the company, तो क्या होगा? तो अगर वो satisfied है, कैसे satisfied है? या तो खुद से सीओ मोटो, या कोई एप्लीकेशन बाय सेंट्रल गवर्नमेंट है, या एप्लीकेशन बाय कंसर्न पर्सन है. सो द ट्रिब्यूनल विल डायरेक्ट द कंपनी टू चेंज द ऑडिटर. ठीक है? और अगर सेंट्रल गवर्नमेंट ने दिया है ना एप्लीकेशन, फिर तो विद इन 15 days ऑफ द रिसीट ऑफ द एप्लीकेशन द ट्रिब्यूनल शैल ऑर्डर दैट ये वाला ऑडिटर विल नॉट फंक्शन एज एन ऑडिटर एंड सीजी में अपॉइंट अनदर ऑडिटर. क्लियर? फर्दर, इफ एनी ऑडिटर हैज बीन रिमूव्ड, है ना, इस वजह से, फ्रॉड की वजह से, जहां ट्रिब्यूनल सेटिस्फाइड है उस वजह से ऑडिटर has been removed, any such auditor or audit firm shall not be eligible to be appointed as an auditor of any company, not only this company, any company, for a period of 5 years from the date of such order. ठीक है? From the date of passing such order, अगले 5 साल के लिए banned, है ना? The auditor cannot be appointed as an auditor in any company, and the auditor shall be liable to the provisions of section 447. So as such, for the purpose of this chapter, see, since it is not given in detail, so you need not as such learn as to kya hai 447 mein, but let me just tell you that, see, if any fraud is been there which has been committed by any person which involves at least rupees 10 lakhs or 1% of the turnover, whichever is less. So there can be an imprisonment which will not be less than 6 months and which may extend up to 10 years, along with the fine which will not be less than the amount of fraud involved and which may extend up to 3 times the amount of fraud involved. ठीक है? Then अगर public interest is also involved, then minimum imprisonment to 3 years का ही होता है सीधा, maximum 10 years है. ठीक है? और penalty कितना बताया मैंने? मिनिमम आपका कितना है फ्रॉड इन्वॉल्व, जो भी अमाउंट है, एंड मैक्सिमम 3 times है. एंड इन केस 10 lakhs या 1% से कम है जो फ्रॉड इन्वॉल्व है, देन द मैक्सिमम इम्प्रिजनमेंट विल बी 5 years and the maximum penalty will be what, 50 lakhs or both of these. ठीक है? So these are the provisions which are contained in section 447. ठीक है? So what we have done in section 140 subsection 5. देखो, अगर कंपनी रिमूव कर रही है ऑडिटर को, तो कोई वजह होगी ना, ये थोड़ी ना मेरे को ये पसंद नहीं है तो मेरे को ये रिमूव करना है. देयर मस्ट बी सम रीजन. ऐसा हो सकता है ना कि ऑडिटर हैव कमिटेड अ फ्रॉड, है ना? सो इफ ट्रिब्यूनल इज सेटिस्फाइड, अगर कोई एप्लीकेशन आया या खुद से ही सीओ मोटो या सेंट्रल गवर्नमेंट का कोई एप्लीकेशन है एंड ट्रिब्यूनल इज सेटिस्फाइड, तो वो बोलेगा कि चेंज दिस ऑडिटर. ठीक है? और सेंट्रल गवर्नमेंट ने एप्लीकेशन दिया तो फिर तो 15 days में इट विल ऑर्डर कि दिस ऑडिटर इज नॉट गोइंग टू फंक्शन, प्लस सीजी में अपॉइंट एनी अदर ऑडिटर. और जो भी ऑडिटर है, ही शैल नॉट बी एलिजिबल फॉर टू बी अपॉइंटेड एज एन ऑडिटर ऑफ एनी कंपनी. वर्ड एनी हियर इज वेरी वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट. सिर्फ अगर ए लिमिटेड में फ्रॉड किया है तो वहीं पे नहीं, किसी भी कंपनी के लिए यू आर नॉट एलिजिबल फॉर बीइंग अपॉइंटेड एज एन ऑडिटर फॉर द पीरियड ऑफ 5 years फ्रॉम द डेट ऑफ पासिंग ऑफ द ऑर्डर. Further, the audit or the audit firm will be liable to what, 447 का जो भी पैनल प्रोविजंस है. ठीक है? So with this we have finished section 140 subsection, all the subsections. So let us just have a look. ठीक है? अब देखो, रिमूवल हमने कहाँ पढ़ा? सेक्शन 140 सबसेक्शन 1 में. रेजिग्नेशन कहाँ पढ़ा? सेक्शन 140 सबसेक्शन 2 और 3 में. और स्पेशल नोटिस वाला हमने कहाँ पढ़ा? सेक्शन 140 सबसेक्शन 4 में, ठीक है। फर्दर रिमूवल के साथ और स्पेशल नोटिस के साथ हमने और क्या पढ़ा, सेक्शन 140 सबसेक्शन 5 में भी, ठीक है। एक बार रिवाइज करते हैं, देन वी विल बी स्टार्टिंग विद व्हाट। अच्छा, अभी तो सीलिंग ऑन नंबर ऑफ ऑडिटर्स विल बी आवर नेक्स्ट टॉपिक, ठीक है। अब देखो सेक्शन 140 सबसेक्शन 1 क्या कहता है, रिमूवल ऑफ ऑडिटर बिफोर द एक्सपायरी ऑफ टर्म, ठीक है। तो ऐसे नहीं रिमूव कर सकते, क्या क्या करना पड़ेगा, बोर्ड मीटिंग होगा जहां पे ये सब डिसाइड होगा, ठीक है। विद इन 30 डेज ऑफ द बोर्ड मीटिंग सीजी को एप्लीकेशन जाएगा ADT 2 में अलॉन्ग विद द फीस एंड रूल नंबर इज 7, ठीक है। अप्रूवल आने के विद इन 60 डेज ऑफ द रिसीट ऑफ अप्रूवल GM होगा, जनरल मीटिंग हेल्ड होगी जिसके अंदर स्पेशल रेजोल्यूशन पास होगा एंड एन अपॉर्चुनिटी ऑफ बीइंग हर्ड विल बी गिवन टू द ऑडिटर, ठीक है। अगर ऑडिटर रिजाइन कर रहा है तो ऑडिटर को क्या करना है, 30 डेज के अंदर ऑफ द डेट ऑफ रेजिग्नेशन ADT 3 रूल 8 के अकॉर्डिंग फाइल करना है ROC के साथ, कंपनी के साथ, गवर्नमेंट कंपनी के केस में CAG के साथ भी। उसमें क्या लिखना है, द रीजंस एंड द फैक्ट्स, कि व्हाट इज द रीजन व्हाई आर यू रिजाइनिंग, ठीक है। और नहीं करता है तो 140 सबसेक्शन 3 में आपको पेनल्टी है 50,000 और रेम्यूनरेशन व्हिचएवर इज लेस, और कंटिन्यूइंग फेलियर है तो 500 पर डे एंड मैक्सिमम अप टू 2 लाख, सिंपल। 140 सबसेक्शन 4 में क्या कहता है कि अगर कोई स्पेशल नोटिस मिलता है कंपनी को दैट बाय द रिक्विजिट नंबर ऑफ शेयर होल्डर्स, ठीक है, सेक्शन 115 में, दैट दिस ऑडिटर विल नॉट बी अपॉइंटेड, या किसी और को अपॉइंट करना है, तो कंपनी क्या करेगी, कंपनी वो वाला नोटिस सेंड कर देगी किसको, रिटायरिंग ऑडिटर को। रिटायरिंग ऑडिटर अपना रिप्रेजेंटेशन, रिटायरिंग ऑडिटर विल बी गिविंग द रिप्रेजेंटेशन इन राइटिंग टू द कंपनी एंड विल रिक्वेस्ट द कंपनी टू नोटिफाई the fact that representation has been received to the members. What is the responsibility on the company? Company will notify it to the members. कैसे, जो भी notice है for calling that meeting उसमें mention कर दोगे ना that representation has been received, plus shall send a copy. और अगर before और after the अगर आपने भेज भी दिया स्पेशल नोटिस, the notice for calling the meeting, then also the company has to send. ठीक है, क्लियर है। अगर नहीं सेंड कर पाते बिकॉज इट वॉज रिसीव टू लेट या बिकॉज ऑफ द फॉल्ट ऑफ द कंपनी, तो क्या करना है, सो अलॉन्ग विद अपॉर्चुनिटी ऑफ बीइंग हर्ड, वो तो है ही, द ऑडिटर हैज द राइट टू गेट इट रेड एट द मीटिंग, ठीक है, along with what the company is required to file that representation with what the registrar. However, if the tribunal on an application made to it by the company or any aggrieved person, if it's satisfied that the right which has been given with respect to representation to the auditor has been used in an inappropriate way, then the tribunal may direct that such representation shall not be sent and will not be read out at the meeting. ठीक है, सेक्शन 140 सबसेक्शन 5 says that if the tribunal is satisfied, either suo motu या CG का एप्लीकेशन या किसी भी पर्सन का क्या satisfied है, that the auditor acted in a fraudulent manner or abetted or colluded in any fraud, ठीक है, तो क्या होगा, tribunal will say that this auditor will be what, it will be removed, ठीक है, just that it will direct the company to change the auditor. लेकिन अगर CG का एप्लीकेशन है तो 15 days के अंदर it will say that this the tribunal will pass the auditor that this auditor is not going to function as an auditor and the CG may appoint the auditor, और जो भी auditor remove हुआ है he is not eligible or the firm is not eligible for the appointment as an auditor of any company for a period of what, 5 years, ठीक है, and penal provisions of section 447 will be applicable, ठीक है, क्लियर। क्लियर, any doubt please tell me. So with this we have finished section 140 also. Each and every section is important. Students are telling me, ma'am, please make us mark the important sections. See, section names तो basically ये हैं जो मैंने सब parts बताए हैं, वो I have told you for your better understanding so that you can learn in a sequence कि इस section में इसके बारे में बात हुई है. So you need to learn these sections ना. इस section 140 about removal, resignation of auditor and giving of special notice. ऐसे तो ना section 140 subsection 5 आया तो उसका कोई अलग से name होगा, नहीं, there is no name as such ना. वो तो आपको particularly एक section का name है ना, ठीक है, So those who were saying कि कौन से sections, see ये वाले sections तो learn करने ही है ना, as sir has told you, remember, गलत मत लिखना बस. Clear? Please send in case you have any doubt. Send in your queries. ठीक है. So here we will take a break of 10 minutes. ठीक है. In the break, please send in your queries अगर कोई भी हैं. And after 10 minutes, we'll again meet. So a break of 10 minutes here. So students, I hope you all are back after the break, है ना? So you haven't sent in your replies, है ना? Whether this section is clear or not. Section 140, all the subsections, है ना? And Surbhi, with respect to your doubt, है ना? यहाँ पे क्या है? Order of tribunal है. ठीक है? Read that section which you are referring. It says order of court. ठीक है? Surbhi, clear? Clear, Surbhi? Just read properly in between the lines. You will yourself be able to see the difference. ठीक है? So send in your reply, students. Section 140, all the subsections, are they clear or not? I've received only one reply from Pooja. Clear, ma'am, clear. Sandeep is also saying done. Yes, Pooja, this 447 is absolutely, it has imprisonment also, and 3 times of the fraud involved the maximum fine that the person is liable to pay. Chalo, ठीक है. So now we'll be starting with ceiling on the number of audits. And see, students, this topic we have almost discussed when we were discussing section 141 with respect to eligibility, qualification and disqualification of an auditor. Under clause G, if you remember, that we discussed that if a person who is in full-time employment elsewhere, okay, or if on the date of the appointment he is already holding the appointment as an auditor in more than 20 companies, okay, so he is not eligible to be appointed as an auditor. Remember clause G. Let me just take you to that point once again. है ना, उसका डिटेल में डिस्कशन है, which is very simple. So a person, so this is what section 141 with respect to eligibility, qualification and disqualification of an auditor, ठीक है? And with respect to this subsection 3 point number G, yes. So the following are ineligible: a person who is in full-time employment elsewhere, or a person or a partner of the firm holding appointment as its auditor. If such person or partner is at the date of such appointment or reappointment holding appointment as auditor of more than 20 companies other than one-person companies, dormant companies, small companies, private companies having paid up share capital less than 100 crores. Okay? So let us discuss this topic with respect to ceiling on number of audit. Okay? So section 141 subsection 3 clause G discusses about ceiling on number of audit. So it says that an individual as an auditor, he can hold the appointment of 20 companies as the statutory auditor of that company. However, when we are counting that 20 companies, these following companies are not counted. What are those? One-person companies, dormant companies, small companies, and private companies having paid up share capital of less than 100 crores. ठीक है? अगर paid up share capital of more than 100 crores है, तो वो तो count होगा 20. ठीक है? Shall not be eligible for appointment as an auditor of the company. ठीक है? तो ये तो हमने बात किया किसका? If an individual is to be appointed as an auditor of the company. ठीक है? So if an audit firm is to be appointed as an auditor, just a minute. So if an audit firm is to be appointed as an auditor, तो उस केस में क्या करना है? The limit will be the same, but now you will be considering it with respect to every auditor. ठीक है? Just a minute. So ceiling on number of audits ना. So if there are 3 partners in a firm, 3 partners हैं, है ना? With respect to every partner, 20 companies हैं. Other than what? One-person company, dormant companies, small companies, private company having the paid-up share capital of what? Your less than 100 crores. पेड अप शेयर कैपिटल, ठीक है। सो इफ पार्टनर के लिए, इफ द ऑडिट फर्म हैज टू बी कंसीडर्ड कि 20 कंपनीज कैसे देखना है, सो इफ देर आर 3 पार्टनर्स तो 20 कंपनीज विद रिस्पेक्ट टू ऑल द पार्टनर्स, सो द ऑडिट फर्म कैन टेक 60 स्टैट्यूटरी ऑडिट एट अ पॉइंट ऑफ टाइम, ठीक है। एंड the general guidelines which has been issued by ICAI, it says that any member who holds the appointment as the statutory auditor of more than 20 companies at any time, he shall be deemed to be guilty of professional misconduct, ठीक है। तो 20 से ज्यादा आपको होल्ड नहीं करना है। हाँ, अगर ये वाली कंपनीज है, इनका देयर इज as such, these will not be included in these 20 companies, ठीक है। And if let's say Mr. A, let's say there is ABC and Associates, ठीक है, and Mr. A, CAA, he is also partner of ADE and Associates. So ऐसा नहीं है कि यहाँ पर भी 20, यहाँ पर भी 20. So an individual in his capacity all together total कितना होगा, दोनों में ही मिला के 20. क्लियर, ठीक है। सो वी आर टॉकिंग अबाउट लाइक पर मेंबरशिप नंबर कितना हो सकता है, 20, इट कैन बी 20, ठीक है। फर्दर द नंबर ऑफ पार्टनर्स, यहाँ पे जैसे नंबर ऑफ पार्टनर्स आपने देखा ना, दिस इज टू बी सीन एंड द डेट ऑफ एक्सेप्टेंस, कि आज किसी कंपनी का अगर ऑडिट एक्सेप्ट करना है तो आज देखो कि कितने अपॉइंटमेंट्स हैं आपके पास, और आज देखो कि कितने पार्टनर्स हैं audit firm. Further, the firm, the partners, the auditor, where he's been appointed as an individual has been appointed as an auditor, they will keep a record with respect to as to what all are the companies with respect to whom they are having the statutory audit, ठीक है, simple है। Further, it says that with respect to sealing on the number of tax audits, है ना, इट इज व्हाट, इट इज 60, वहां पे कितना था 20, इट इज व्हाट 60, ठीक है। एंड आईसी हैज नोटिफाइड दैट इफ अ चार्टर्ड अकाउंटेंट इन प्रैक्टिस, इफ ही इज होल्डिंग मोर देन 60 नंबर ऑफ टैक्स ऑडिट, देन ही शैल बी डीम्ड गिल्टी ऑफ प्रोफेशनल मिसकंडक्ट। सिंपल है ना, ठीक है। सो सीलिंग ऑन नंबर ऑफ ऑडिट, वी हैव सीन कि कौन कौन से कंपनीज इंक्लूड नहीं होंगे। पर पार्टनर आपको देखना है, तो दिस इज द एग्जाम्पल एंड दिस केस स्टडी इज योर होमवर्क, you will enjoy it, but पहले provision थोड़ा सा read कर लेना, otherwise there is nothing new in the provision, we have discussed everything. And council has said that if any person is found to hold more than 20 at any time, so he shall be deemed guilty of what, professional misconduct, ठीक है। And we have seen that एक partner के लिए like one individual can have 20 statutory audit in any firms that he is having, that total should be 20, ऐसा नहीं 20 इधर भी 20 उधर भी, ठीक है। So this is all what is mentioned, and date of acceptance पे देखना है। Further they shall maintain what, they shall maintain a record कि कितना कितना है, ठीक है। And tax audit का कितना है, it is 16 numbers, and if any of the audit individual is holding more than that, then he will be deemed guilty of professional misconduct, ठीक है। क्लियर है, कोई डाउट है, क्विकली सेंड इन योर रिप्लाईज, वेरी सिंपल। 20 के काउंट में कौन नहीं आता, 1% डोरमेंट स्मॉल एंड प्राइवेट कंपनी हैविंग पेड अप शेयर कैपिटल ऑफ लेस देन 100 crores, ठीक है। सी विद रिस्पेक्ट टू 1% कंपनी स्मॉल डोरमेंट, ऐसा नहीं है कि अनलिमिटेड ले सकते हो, उसमें भी देयर आर सर्टेन प्रोविजंस, है ना, विच यू विल बी लर्निंग इन योर फाइनल्स, ठीक है। तो अभी आई एम नॉट टचिंग अपॉन देम, ऐसा नहीं है, बट आई हैव टोल्ड यू ऐसा नहीं है दैट उसमें अनलिमिटेड है, ठीक है। फिर वो इफेक्टिवनेस थोड़ी ना आएगा ऑडिट का, सो देयर इज अ लिमिट ऑन दैट ऑल्सो, बट अभी यू नीड नॉट डू इट फॉर द पर्पस ऑफ योर इंटरमीडिएट लेवल, ठीक है। सो विद दिस वी हैव फिनिश्ड आवर section 141 in entirety, 139, 140 and 142, ठीक है। Now let us move to section 143. 146 is also here with respect to what, powers, rights of the auditor. So students are saying it is clear, chalo good, ठीक है। So powers and rights of the auditor, ठीक है। So see students, we will be doing section 143 and it consists of what? The name of the section is what? Power, duties of auditor and auditing standards. ठीक है, तो इसमें there are certain provisions with respect to auditing standards also. So let us just have a look at the summary, है ना? Again, I'll tell you that the name that you need to learn with respect to section is what? Powers, duties of auditors and the auditing standards. So this is a summary, that is this subsection relates to following things. ठीक है, so this is not the name of the subsection as such. ठीक है, so don't get confused. So subsection 1 में relating to what all provisions are contained, relating to powers and rights of the auditor. Subsection 2 is about the auditor to make the report to the members. Subsection 3 is auditor shall also state on certain matters. ठीक है. Subsection 4 says that in case anything is been mentioned in the report in negative or with the qualification, the auditor needs to give reasons for the same. Abhi, I'm just quickly going to these. We'll be discussing them one by one in detail. Subsection 5, 6, 7. These relate to the audit in case of government companies, whereby subsection 5, that is section 143, subsection 5, it deals with directions by CAG. Subsection 6 deals with supplementary audit. Subsection 7 deals with test audit. Further, you will be doing all these in detail in your chapter number 30. ठीक है, अभी इतना डिटेल में नहीं है. Then with respect to subsection 8, that is section 143 subsection 8, it is with respect to audit of accounts of branch of a company. This we will be doing in detail when we'll be doing SA 600. ठीक है. Section 143 subsection 9, 10 is with respect to compliance with auditing standards. Subsection 11 is with respect to CARO 2020. ठीक है. Subsection 12 is with respect to reporting of frauds. This you have already done in your chapter number 5, है ना? Quickly send in your replies किया है ना? And this subsection 13 is also related to your fraud का ही, that is if it is done in good faith. Not the fraud is not done in good faith. The reporting is done in good faith. Subsection 14 is with respect to the application of all these provision to cost accountant and company secretary on mutatis mutandis basis. And subsection 15 is with respect to non-compliance with section 143 subsection 12. ठीक है, तो ये सब पढ़ने वाले हैं. वेरी वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट. ऐसा नहीं है कि these sections are not important, कि बहुत लेंथी है. तो chances are there that you might get MCQs, true, false or descriptive out of any of the subsections. ठीक है, or out of any of the parts of this section. ठीक है. So let us start. Today, I'm not sure whether we'll be able to complete this section or not, but yes, definitely. So far as the rights are concerned, I want to cover them. Okay? So there are 5 rights or powers of the auditor which have been given. So what are those? Let us first have a look. Right of access to books, which is given in section 143(1) subsection 1. Okay? The auditor has a right to obtain information and explanation from officers. This is also 143 subsection 1. And this is also what? Section 143 subsection 1. Okay? Then the auditor has the right or the power, you can say power, the right to receive notice and to attend general meeting, and that is given in section 146. Okay? Then right to report to the members of the company on the accounts examined by him. This is section 143 subsection 2. Okay? And this is a general right, which is right to lien. Okay? So 5 rights that we'll be discussing with respect to rights of the auditors. Okay? And students are saying that they have done subsection 12 with respect to fraud in chapter number 5 in detail. Okay? But we'll be, revising it. Quickly se revise kar lenge wo section as and when it will come. Okay? So students, see, when the auditor is conducting an audit, there are certain duties, there are certain rights of the auditor. Unless and until there are the rights, auditor won't be able to conduct an audit in an effective and efficient manner. Okay? Auditor has various rights which we'll be discussing one by one. So section 143 subsection 1 says that auditor has a right to access of books of the company. ठीक है ना, access ही नहीं होगा books को तो फिर audit कैसे करोगे? ठीक है, just a minute. So right of access to books, and I told you where is it contained? Section 143 subsection 1. ठीक है, अब again this is so logical, है ना, तो इसको as a story listen to me and then we will go through the provisions which are mentioned. ठीक है, logical है, बहुत logical है. ठीक है, so this section says that the auditor has a right to access to books of accounts of the company at all times. ऐसा नहीं है that आज नहीं मिलेंगे, at all times. ठीक है, और किस किस पे access है? Books of accounts and vouchers. ठीक है, whether these are kept at the registered office or whether these are kept at any other place. ठीक है, further, auditor may require the officer to provide any information or explanation as he consider necessary, and not only the books which are kept at the registered office or the head office, but the right to access to books also extends to what? The branch records. ठीक है, तो अभी we haven't completed it. ठीक है, so right of access to books. ठीक है, so first of all the auditor has a right to access the books at all the times. ठीक है, access to what? The books of accounts and vouchers. ठीक है, whether kept at registered office or at any other place. ठीक है, now students, here you will be requiring your knowledge of section 128. Quickly send in your replies. किया हुआ है section 128 in your company law. I'll wait for another 5 seconds. Quickly send in your reply. Send in your replies quickly. So section 128 says that every company shall prepare the books and keep at its registered office books of accounts or other relevant books, papers and financial statement for every financial year, which give a true and fair representation of the state of affairs of the company, including that of its branch office. ठीक है, further it says that, so we have seen that कोई भी books of accounts or vouchers registered office पे. Then the second part of section 128 says that provided that the books of accounts or the vouchers, they may be kept at any other place as the board of directors shall decide, and company shall within 7 days thereof file with the ROC a notice in writing about the full address of that place. तो अगर उस place पे भी रखा है जो board of directors ने resolve किया है and within 7 days a notice to this effect has been filed with the ROC in form AOC file, तो भी it will be considered as in compliance with section 128. So that is why it has been mentioned that books of accounts and vouchers at the registered office or at any other place, है ना, because any other place is being covered by section 128. Clear? ठीक है. Now what all is covered in books of accounts and vouchers, है ना? So it says that books of accounts, है ना, it includes all books that have a connection with the accounts, be it your financial records like ledgers, be it your some memoranda books like summaries, or your statutory records like your cost records, है ना, कोई भी records है which have a bearing on is connection with the accounts of the company, so that is covered in books of accounts. And what is a voucher? So voucher includes all or any of the correspondence which may in any way serve टू वाउच द एक्यूरेसी ऑफ द अकाउंट्स, है ना, जिससे आपको एक्यूरेसी ऑफ द अकाउंट्स पता चलती है. एनी वाउचर, ट्रैवलिंग बिल है, कोई भी सैंक्शन है, कोई भी अग्रीमेंट है, एनीथिंग जिससे यू आर एबल टू वाउच द एक्यूरेसी ऑफ द अकाउंट्स, तो ऑडिटर हैज एन एक्सेस टू बोथ दिस, वेदर kept at registered office or in any other place. Clear? है ना. Then auditor may require the officer. Who is an officer? Now we have already done this in section 2 clause 59 if you remember, है ना. इनिशियली ही हमने डिस्कस कर लिया था ना, जब हमने 141 डिस्कस किया था. तो सेक्शन 2 clause 59 says that officer includes any director, manager or KMP, key managerial personnel, or any person in accordance with whose directions or instructions the board of directors or any one or more of the directors is accustomed to act. ठीक है. तो किसी भी ऑफिसर को which has been defined, auditor may require him to provide him with the information and the explanation. ठीक है. Further it says that with respect to books and vouchers of the registered office or the head office, auditor has a right to access. Further, this right also extends to branch records. ठीक है. Now, why branch records? The answer is contained in section 128 itself. अब 128 क्या कहता है? Where a company has a branch office, whether inside or outside India, in India or outside India, it shall be deemed to have complied with provisions of section 128 if books of accounts relating to the transactions of branch office are kept at that branch office and proper summarized returns are periodically sent by the branch office to its registered office. ठीक है. So with respect to this section 143 subsection 8 we will be discussing that in detail, and SA 600 when we'll be doing, we'll discuss this in detail. But it says that not only with respect to the books and accounts and vouchers of registered office or head office, but also with respect to what the branch records, the auditor has an access. ठीक है. So it may be noted that the company auditor has a right to visit the branch even if the branch accounts are audited by another auditor. So the principal auditor, the company auditor, he has the right to visit the account. ठीक है. So right of access to books समझ आता है कहाँ पे दिया हुआ है? Section 143 subsection 1. What are the keywords? Right to access to books at all times, है ना. So to books of accounts and vouchers, whether kept at registered office or at any other place. Further, the auditor may require the officer of the company to provide the information and explanation as the auditor may deem fit. Also, the right to access of books is not limited to the books of accounts or vouchers kept at registered office or head office, but it also extends to what? Branch record. As simple as that. Okay? So let us have a look at the module. So section 143(1) provides that the auditor of the company has at all times right to access to what? Books of accounts and vouchers. ठीक है. Whether kept at registered office or any other place. We have seen section 128 में at any other place it can be kept if board of directors have passed a resolution and within 7 days and a notice has been filed with the registrar with respect to the full address in AOC 5, है ना. And he is entitled to require officers of the company such information and explanation as he may consider necessary in performance of his duties. Now, these paragraphs contain various definitions. Section 2 clause 59 में क्या है? Officer कौन होता है? Books. Further, it says the right of access is not limited to those books and records maintained at the registered office or head office. So that in the case of a company with branches, it might be possible that the auditor, the principal auditor is different, and with respect to the branches, other auditors have been appointed. The right also extends to branch records if the auditor considers it necessary to access thereto as per section 143 subsection 8. Further, I told you when we will be doing SA 600 in this chapter with respect to branch audit, I'll tell you about all these provisions. ठीक है. So this is the example, which is your homework. You can do this at your home. ठीक है. सिंपल है. बताओ, क्विकली बताओ. 143 subsection 1 में right of access to book समझ आया? कोई डाउट है? क्विकली. I'm waiting for your replies, then only I'll start. What I'm doing, I'm making a summary for you. ठीक है, जिससे कि आपको easily I can make you understand. ठीक है, I just wanted to show you कि कैसे summarize करना है. देखो, right to obtain information and explanation from officer. So it is again one of the statutory rights which has been given in section 143 subsection 1. ठीक है, what is the right? That the auditor has a right while he is conducting an audit to obtain information and explanation from the officers. Officer क्या है? Section 2 clause 59 में it is clear now, है ना? Which information? Such information and explanation as he think necessary. ठीक है? And students, in case this information is not given, see, in case of absence of such information, auditor won't be able to know now about various transactions, like related party transactions. So on the face of the financial statement, it might not be possible for the auditor to, be sure about all the transactions unless and until he asks the officer of the company that please tell me about all those transactions. Okay? If any amount has been received by the director of the company, so उस director से information लेना पड़ेगा ना, है ना? Financial statements में देख के it might not be possible ना, ठीक है? And auditor will decide as to which information he has to obtain, and if the information is not provided, so what is the remedy that is available to the auditor is to report to the members. ठीक है? इसलिए तो होता है opportunity of being heard, है ना? To report to the members that if any of the information has not been given to the auditor. And again, it is given, this statutory right has been given in section 141. So quickly पढ़ते हैं. Screen is not clear, man. It's blur. Now is it fine? ठीक है, please refresh your pages. So this right to obtain information from officers, such information and explanation as he may think necessary for the performance of his duties. ठीक है, it is a very important part. In the absence of such part, the auditor would not be able to obtain details of amount collected by directors from any other company, firm, as well as any benefits in kind derived by the directors. Okay? And he may decide the matters in respect of which information is required. And where the auditor is not provided with the information, the only remedy available is to report to the members that he could not obtain the information which was required. Simple. Okay? Simple. Now the third right, which is given where section 146. Section 146 of the Companies Act. See, what is the name of this section? Appointment to attend general meeting. Appointment. No, not appointment. Auditors to attend general meeting. Just a minute. Auditors to attend general meeting. ठीक है? So where is the statutory right given? Under section 146 of the Companies Act. ठीक है? So this section says that the auditor is entitled to attend any general meeting. The word any here is also very important. ऐसा नहीं है that the AGM where the accounts which he has audited has been placed before the members, that only with respect to that general meeting he can attend. So auditor is entitled to attend any general meeting, and he is entitled to receive all the notices. है ना? ऐसा नहीं है सिर्फ उसी मीटिंग का, all the notices or any communication regarding the general meeting which members are entitled to receive. है ना? So what is this right? Section 146 contains the statutory right with respect to auditor to attend the general meeting. So auditor is entitled to attend any general meeting. And he not only, so this shows that it is not only limited to the general meeting whereby the accounts which have been audited by the auditor have been let down, है ना, कोई भी general meeting, and to receive all the notices and communications with respect to general meeting which are being sent to the members, है ना. And the auditor also has the right of being heard in the general meeting with respect to any part of the business of that meeting that concerns him as an auditor. जो भी auditor को लगता है that as an auditor he should say something with respect to any business of the entity, so of the company, so auditor has the right to be heard at the general meeting. And students, this section 156, it contains the right of the auditor to attend, to receive the notices and to be heard. So I can say it contains the right for the auditor to attend the general meeting. Also, it contains the duty of the auditor to attend the general meeting on his own or through an authorized representative. ठीक है? So it contains the right as well as the duty. Simple है ना? क्या क्या right है? So let us just have a look. The auditor of a company are entitled to attend any general meeting of the company. That is, the right is not restricted to those at which the accounts audited by them are to be discussed. Also, to receive all the notices and other communications relating to general meeting which members are entitled to receive, and to be heard at any general meeting in any part. See, any, kitni bari any use hua na, because this is very important here. Any general meeting in any part of the business of the meeting which concerns him as an auditor. And section 146 of the Companies Act discusses the right as well as the duty of the auditor. And this is the, basically section 146 has been reproduced here. So what is mentioned, see, all notices of and other communications relating to any general meeting shall be forwarded to the company, auditor of the company. तो ये क्या right हो गया ना auditor का? Company shall forward it to the auditor. See, what is mentioned? Shall, जरूरी है ना, mandatory. And the auditor shall, unless otherwise exempted by the company, attend either by himself or through his authorized representative, who shall also be qualified to be an auditor, any general meeting, and shall have the right to be heard at such meeting on any part of the business which concerns him and an auditor. ऐसे किसी को भी नहीं भेज दोगे as your authorized representative. You will send a person who is also qualified to be an auditor. That is, he is also a chartered accountant. He also understands all these things. ठीक है? So this is a right as well as duty for the auditor. Quickly send in your replies. Clear है या नहीं? बहुत simple है. First में हमने क्या पढ़ा? देखो, right of the auditor to obtain the information, to have access to the books. तो हमने पढ़ा at all times, books of accounts, vouchers, registered office पे any other place में है. ठीक है? Information as he consider goods, information explanation. Then we saw officer कौन होता है, books of accounts में क्या included है, voucher में क्या included है. Then we saw that it is not only limited to registered office या head office का books of accounts and vouchers, but it also extends to what, your branch office का. ठीक है? branch records. Then to obtain information, such information as he considered necessary. ठीक है? अगर absence है, this is a very wide and important part. अगर absence है, auditor will not be in a position to obtain details of amount collected by the directors. वो तो उनसे पूछना ही पड़ेगा ना, है ना? He may decide the matters, and वो नहीं मिलते हैं तो the only remedy available is to report to the members. Right to receive any general meeting attend कर सकते हो, मतलब जहां accounts place हुए उसी पे restricted नहीं है, right? All notices or communications related to general meeting को obtain कर सकते हो, जो भी members are entitled to receive, and to be heard in any meeting, any general meeting in any part of the business of meeting which concerns his as an auditor. And we have seen कि ये duty भी है और ये क्या है, duty भी है और क्या है, right भी है. Clear? Now with respect to fourth right, right to report to the members of the company on accounts examined by him. And this right is contained where? In section 143 subsection 2. अब देखो ये audit किस लिए हो रहा है, ये सब कुछ क्यों पढ़ रहे हो, क्योंकि रिपोर्ट देनी है ना. तो this is a right of the auditor, है ना, कि section 143 subsection 2 में एक रिपोर्ट देनी है किसको, to the members of the company. किस पे? On the accounts examined and the financial statement. So two members को ही तो देते हैं ना, shareholders को, है ना. Chapter 11 में you will be studying about all these कि कौन addressee होता है, किसको ये भेजते हैं हम report, ठीक है, किसको address करते हैं. So to the members, ठीक है, किस पे जो भी accounts examine हुए हैं या जो भी financial statements है, ठीक है. Further it says that when an auditor is giving a report, he shall consider various things. क्या क्या? The provisions of the Companies Act, the accounting standards, the auditing standards, है ना, उसको भी तो consider करते हुए report बनेगी ना. Whatever matters are being discussed in various provisions, in various rules and regulations, है ना. And whatever is the information available to him with respect to state of affairs of the company as at a particular date, or with respect to profit and loss and cash flow for the year. Simple है, बताओ. Section 143 subsection 2 gives a right to the auditor to report to the members of the company on the accounts and the financial statement examined by him, ठीक है. So report करते हुए auditor को क्या क्या consider करना है? Provisions of the act, accounting standards, auditing standards, various rules, regulations, and the information which is available to the best of his information. Then to the best of his information and knowledge, whatever is available with him with respect to what? The state of affairs of the company as at a particular date, and the profit and loss and the cash flow during the year, ठीक है. So quickly देख लेते हैं, simple है, बहुत simple है. Section 143 subsection 2, तो पहले वाले दो rights कहाँ थे? Section 143 subsection 1, access of books and information. फिर Section 146, that is to what? Attend the meetings, है ना. D कहाँ है? 143 subsection 2. So the auditor shall make a report to the members किस पे accounts examined and every financial statement, ठीक है. And the report shall take into consideration what? The provisions of the act, accounting and auditing standards, matters which are required to be included in audit report under the provisions of the act or any of the rules made thereunder, and to the best of his information and knowledge, the said accounts, whether they give a true and fair view of the state of affairs as on a date, that is balance sheet, वो तो as on a date होता है ना, and profit and loss and cash flow for the year, and such other matters as may be prescribed. Simple, ठीक है. And the last right is right to lien. So this is a general principle of law. So this right has been derived from a general principle of law. What is meant by lien? Quickly send in your replies. फटाफट से भेजो. I want to finish up this and then we'll be revising this. So, Mr. Kulkarni, with respect to your query on audit pronouncements, I'll do one thing. First of all, तो whatever is given in your study, that is the first and foremost thing that you need to refer, ठीक है. But अगर आपको मन है कि audit pronouncements में से essays आपको read करने का मन है, you have the time also, so you can just have a look at the essays कि कैसे डिटेल में है, ठीक है. But हाँ, अगर आप मेरे से पूछो तो जो भी आपका मॉड्यूल में given है, whatever has been given in your study material, the module, है ना, दोनों मॉड्यूल में, so first and fourth, the priority should be that, ठीक है. So what is meant by lien? This was my question. So right to keep possession. ठीक है. So right to keep possession. ठीक है. So right to lien, what it says that in your lawful possession, आपने चुराया नहीं है, आपने उसके ऊपर काम करना था. Legally आपने कुछ books of accounts obtain किया, आपने उस पर कुछ work किया. And now the company is saying that I'll not pay your fees. So this right to lien says, this is one of the general principle of law. It says that if you are having the lawful possession of someone else's property, जो books of accounts हैं company के, वो तो company की property है ना, you are in a lawful possession of that, ठीक है, on which you have worked also, and with respect to which you are not getting the payment. So you may retain such books of accounts on which the work has been done. ठीक है. So as per the Institute of Chartered Accountants of England and Wales, certain views with respect to this right are given, which we will see. So right of lien basically क्या है देखो, documents retained must belong to the client who owes your money. आपने किसी client के financial statements पे काम किया, you have certain books or you have certain documents with respect to that client, है ना. अभी I'm not saying company, let us see why. So you are having the books of that client, ठीक है. And now the client is saying that though you have worked but we are not paying the fees, please give our books back. So you can exercise the right to lien by obtained with the illegal means से नहीं लेके गए, है ना. That is, they must have been received on the authority of the board of directors in case of a company, ठीक है. The auditor can retain the documents only if he has done work on the documents assigned to him, है ना. उस पर वर्क किया होना चाहिए. And such of the documents can be retained which are connected with the work on which fees has not been made. उन डॉक्यूमेंट से रिलेटेड जो आपने वर्क किया है उस पर फीस नहीं हुआ है. So this is, fees has not been paid to you. So this is one of the right to lien. That is, you can have a possession of such books of accounts. अगर वो lawful possession है, आपने उस पर काम किया है, वो क्लाइंट को बिलोंग करती है, and you have not been paid the fees with respect to that work. ठीक है. However, see students, जब हमने सेक्शन 128 किया, we have seen that books of accounts कहाँ पे होती है, रजिस्टर्ड ऑफिस में होती है, या at such other place as may be बोर्ड ऑफ डायरेक्टर रिजॉल्व करते हैं, जो रजिस्ट्रार के साथ AOC फाइल होता है, ठीक है. So see, as such, it is mostly impracticable ना, है ना, कि ऑडिटर के पास वो बुक्स और ऑडिटर उसको पजेस कर ले, है ना. Why? Because the books of accounts are kept at the registered office, और वहां जाकर auditor works on the books of accounts, है ना, and the vouchers. So it says there is certain, though legally the auditor may exercise right of lien in cases of companies, it is mostly impracticable for legal and practicable constraints. देखो, कंपनी में इट हैज बीन गिवन इन सेक्शन 128 की बुक्स ऑफ अकाउंट्स को आपको रजिस्टर्ड ऑफिस या एनी अदर प्लेस पर रखना है. बट इन केस ऑफ अदर देन कंपनी तो यहाँ आ सकता है ना. बट दो दीज टॉपिक्स आर व्हाट रिलेटेड टू व्हाट सेक्शन 128 रिलेटेड टू व्हाट कंपनीज एक्ट है ना, ये तो कंपनीज की बात हो रही है. तो दैट इज व्हाई इट सेज दैट मोस्टली इम्प्रैक्टिकेबल हो जाता है इसको करना. Further, if you remember in SC 230 and SQC 1, we have discussed that with respect to working papers of the client, बताओ उस पे right of lien है. See, there the question of right of lien by the auditor does not arise. Now, why? Because working papers are the property of the auditor in terms of SQC 1, है ना. वहां थोड़ी ना right of lien का question आएगा, because वो तो already working papers क्या होते हैं, already they are the property of the auditor. ठीक है. सो समझ आया, सिंपल है. क्या पढ़ा हमने कि अगर आपने उस पर वर्क किया है, वो उसी क्लाइंट को बिलोंग करते हैं, हु ओज यू द मनी, आपको लॉफुल पोजेशन में मिला, एंड ही इज नॉट पेइंग द फीस विद रिस्पेक्ट टू द वर्क दैट यू हैव डन ऑन दोज वर्किंग पेपर्स, यू मे एक्सरसाइज द राइट ऑफ लॉन. ठीक है. बट प्रैक्टिकली सेक्शन 128 क्योंकि कहता है कि रजिस्टर्ड ऑफिस में रखो या एनी अदर प्लेस में रखो, तो प्रैक्टिकली थोड़ा सा ये इम्प्लीमेंट नहीं हो पाता. हाउएवर SQC 1 and 230 की टर्म्स में जो हमारा है, what with respect to the property of the auditor, working papers are the property of the auditors. So उस केस में the question of right to lien does not arise. ठीक है. Clear? Done? Any doubt? Clear? So today we have discussed the powers or rights of the auditor. So दो कहाँ पे है, section 143 subsection 1 में there are two rights, right of access to books and right to obtain information explanation from the officers. Section 146 is with respect to what, right to attend the general meeting, which is a right as well as a duty. Then we saw right to report to the members in section 143 subsection 2, and then we discussed about right of lien, which is a general principle of law. Okay, as such no section is there, but this is out of a general principle of law that the auditor has a right to keep the possession of the books जिस पे काम किया है, जिस पे फीस नहीं मिल रही, जो lawful possession में है और जो client के हैं. ठीक है. And we discussed the views of what Institute of Chartered Accountants of England and Wales in this regard. ठीक है. क्लियर, सेंड इन योर रिप्लाईज जिसको भी जो भी डाउट है. सो विद दिस 143 सबसेक्शन 1 का कुछ पार्ट हमने किया है, 143 सबसेक्शन 2 का कुछ पार्ट किया है, 146 कंप्लीट पढ़ लिया है हमने. ठीक है, ठीक है. तो लेट मी जस्ट टिक ऑल द सेक्शंस दैट वी हैव कवर्ड टुडे. ठीक है, ठीक है. सो हमने क्या क्या पढ़ा था? अच्छा, 144 ऑल्सो वी हैव डन. ठीक है, देन 146 ऑल्सो वी हैव डन. However, with respect to section 143, अभी powers and duties and auditing standards है ना, तो अभी तो हमने सिर्फ power किया. Duties and auditing standards तो अभी these are still left. Yes, Parth, you are absolutely correct. ठीक है. So please send in your reply. किसी को भी कोई भी reply है, query है, so we can discuss, है ना? So before ending for the session for today, let me just take you through whatever we have done today. And before that, please send in your replies. समझ आया है या नहीं? कोई डाउट है तो मेरे को बताओ. Because next session में after the duties part, we'll be covering certain independent parts. ठीक है, जो as such these sections से related नहीं है, except for your Caro 2020. ठीक है. So let us quickly revise. ठीक है. So students, I hope these revisions are helpful to you and you all are able to understand, है ना, और learning start कर दो. ठीक है. Why I am revising and again because I want you people to learn the concepts. ठीक है. So section 140. So the name that you need to learn is what? Removal, resignation and giving a special notice. अब इसमें सब sections हैं जो इन सब पार्ट से डील करते हैं. तो what are those? So removal करना है तो 140 सबसेक्शन 1 में बोर्ड मीटिंग होएगा, उसके 30 डेज के अंदर सीजी को एप्लीकेशन जाएगा, अप्रूवल के 60 डेज के अंदर जीएम होगा, जनरल मीटिंग हेल्ड करके जहां पे स्पेशल रेजोल्यूशन पास होगा. बिफोर दैट अपॉर्चुनिटी ऑफ बीइंग हर्ड विल बी गिवन टू द ऑडिटर. ठीक है. जो सीजी को एप्लीकेशन जाएगा एडीटी 2 रूल 7. क्लियर. रेजिग्नेशन बाय ऑडिटर. ऑडिटर ऐसे नहीं रिजाइन कर सकता. ही नीड्स टू फाइल अ फॉर्म एडीटी 3 रूल 8 में with whom the registrar and the company, ठीक है, within 30 days of giving the resignation. And in case of government company, CAG को भी जाएगा. क्या मेंशन होगा? It will be mentioned what are the reasons, the stated facts. नहीं करते तो 143 subsection 3 में penalty है 50,000 और remuneration whichever is less. Continuing के लिए 500 per day, maximum to 2 lakhs. सिंपल ऐसे रिवाइज करना है. ठीक है. फोर्थ में 140 सबसेक्शन 4 में अपॉइंटिंग ऑडिटर अदर देन रिटायरिंग ऑडिटर इफ अ स्पेशल नोटिस इज रिसीव्ड. ठीक है. तो विद I told you that 115 में मिलता है that a resolution at general meeting will be passed specifically providing that someone else will be appointed or this will not be expressly providing that this retiring auditor will not be appointed. तो फिर क्या करना है? Company will send the copy to the retiring auditor. Retiring auditor will make a representation and request its notification to the members. तो company क्या करेगी? Company will mention the fact of this in the notice for the meeting and send a copy to every member. बेशक जिसको भेज भी दिया उसके बाद भी आपको सेंड करना पड़ेगा. ठीक है. उसके बाद क्या होगा? ठीक है. Then it says that if tribunal is satisfied that on application by either the company or aggrieved person that the such power has been abused by the auditor, so the tribunal shall say that such copy of representation shall not be sent and representation need not be read out at the meeting. ठीक है. सेक्शन 140 सबसेक्शन 5 क्या है? द ट्रिब्यूनल इज satisfied, सीओ मोटो, सीजी या एनी पर्सन क्या satisfied है? that the auditor has acted in a fraudulent manner या abated or colluded in any fraud with the company. ठीक है. so it will immediately say that डायरेक्ट द कंपनी टू चेंज द ऑडिटर. और अगर सीजी ने एप्लीकेशन दिया तो विद इन 15 डेज ऑफ द एप्लीकेशन इट विल डायरेक्ट दैट दिस ऑडिटर विल नॉट फंक्शन एंड सीजी में अपॉइंट द ऑडिटर. फर्दर दिस ऑडिटर विल हु हैज बीन रिमूव्ड इज नॉट एलिजिबल फॉर बीइंग अपॉइंटेड एज एन ऑडिटर ऑफ एनी कंपनी फॉर अ पीरियड ऑफ 5 years फ्रॉम द डेट ऑफ द ऑर्डर. फर्दर लायबल अंडर सेक्शन 447. क्लियर. विद दिस वी फिनिश सेक्शन 140. ठीक है. ऐसे रिवाइज करना है. ठीक है. तो ऐसे लर्न करने के लिए क्या करना पड़ेगा? थोड़ा सा अच्छे से रीड करना पड़ेगा. 177 यू हैव सीन दैट पब्लिक लिस्टेड कंपनीज पे सब पे एप्लीकेबल है. अनलिस्टेड पब्लिक कंपनी के लिए इफ द पेड अप शेयर कैपिटल इज मोर देन इक्वल टू 10 crores और टर्नओवर इज मोर देन इक्वल टू 100 crores और एग्रीगेट आउटस्टैंडिंग लोन बोरोइंग डिबेंचर्स इक्वल टू नहीं है, मोर देन 50 crores है। कब देखना है? लास्ट ऑडिटेड फाइनेंशियल स्टेटमेंट पे देखना है। सो क्या करना है? ऑडिट कमिटी कंस्टिट्यूट करना है। ऑडिट कमिटी, what are the functions? That first of all 139 subsection 11 says that जो भी अगर ऑडिट कमिटी है, so ऑडिट कमिटी का रिकमेंडेशन will be considered by the board of directors in appointing an auditor। कोई भी वैकेंसी हो, कैजुअल वैकेंसी हो या कुछ भी हो, ठीक है। फंक्शंस क्या है? रिकमेंडेशन फॉर अपॉइंटमेंट, रेम्यूनरेशन, टर्म्स ऑफ अपॉइंटमेंट ऑफ ऑडिटर, रिव्यूइंग एंड मॉनिटरिंग ऑडिटर्स इंडिपेंडेंस, परफॉर्मेंस, इफेक्टिवनेस ऑफ ऑडिट प्रोसेस, एग्जामिनिंग द फाइनेंशियल स्टेटमेंट एंड ऑडिटर्स रिपोर्ट, एंड इंश्योरिंग बेटर स्टैंडर्ड्स ऑफ कॉर्पोरेट गवर्नेंस। हाउ, व्हाट इज कॉर्पोरेट गवर्नेंस? हाउ अ कंपनी इज बीन गवर्न्ड, है ना, हाउ इट इज बीन, जस्ट हाउ इट इज बीन कंट्रोल्ड। ऑडिट कमिटी कंसिस्ट ऑफ मिनिमम 3 डायरेक्टर्स, इंडिपेंडेंट डायरेक्टर्स मेजॉरिटी में होते हैं, दैट्स इट, ठीक है। रेम्यूनरेशन भी सॉ दैट जनरल मीटिंग में फिक्स होगी, हाउएवर फर्स्ट ऑडिटर का बोर्ड कर सकता है। एनी अदर सर्विस अगर प्रोवाइड किया दैट इज नॉट इंक्लूडेड इन द रेम्यूनरेशन, लेकिन अगर कोई फैसिलिटी हैज बीन एक्सटेंडेड दैट इज इंक्लूडेड इन द रेम्यूनरेशन, सेक्शन 142, क्लियर। सीलिंग ऑन द नंबर ऑफ ऑडिट, वी हैव सीन दैट 20 कंपनीज, नॉट मोर देन दैट। ओपीसी, डॉर्मेंट कंपनी, स्मॉल कंपनी, प्राइवेट कंपनी हैविंग अ पेड शेयर कैपिटल ऑफ लेस देन 100 crore नहीं इंक्लूड होगा। और पर पार्टनर देखोगे एट एनी टाइम अगर कोई मोर देन 20 में हेल्ड करता है तो he'll be held guilty for professional misconduct। टैक्स ऑडिट की कितना है? 60 है लिमिट, ठीक है, क्लियर। अब 143 सेक्शन किससे डील करता है? पावर्स and duties of auditor and auditing standards। तो today we have covered what? Powers। तो powers क्या है? Powers है सेक्शन 143(1) में 2 powers हैं, 143(2) में एक power है, 146 में एक power है, और general principle of law है। So 141 क्या कहता है? राइट ऑफ एक्सेस टू बुक्स एट ऑल टाइम्स, बुक्स ऑफ अकाउंट्स, वाउचर्स, रजिस्टर्ड ऑफिस पे, एनी अदर प्लेस पे हैं। रिक्वायर ऑफिसर टू प्रोवाइड इन्फॉर्मेशन एंड एक्सप्लेनेशन। देखो सेकंड वाला पॉइंट तो यहीं से निकल आता है ना, इसलिए 143 सबसेक्शन 1 में, ठीक है। एंड ब्रांच रिकॉर्ड्स पे भी एक्सटेंड होती है। राइट टू ऑब्टेन इन्फॉर्मेशन क्या है? एनी इन्फॉर्मेशन विच ही कंसीडर्स नेसेसरी। एब्सेंस है, दिस इज अ वेरी वाइड एंड इंपॉर्टेंट पावर। देखो आई एम पिकिंग अप ओनली द कीवर्ड्स, है ना। सो कितना इजी है यार, पर आपको आज तो पढ़ना पड़ेगा, कल पढ़ने बैठोगे या परसों पढ़ने बैठोगे तो नहीं याद रहेगा। वाइड एंड इंपॉर्टेंट पावर लिखा हुआ है ना, ठीक है। So absence है, so auditor will not be able to know as to what amounts have been received by the auditor, by the directors, ठीक है। Auditor will decide as to which information is to be obtained, and if it is not provided, then the only remedy available is to report to the members, ठीक है। 143(1) में थी। 146 क्या कहता है? Entitled to attend any general meeting, not limited to the meeting whereby the accounts are being laid down, है ना। All the notices and communications relating to general meeting with other members are entitled to receive, वो auditor को भी मिलेंगे, and to be heard at general meeting। And 146 देता है that auditor shall the company shall send a notice, the auditor shall attend either through himself or through authorized representative, clear। 143 subsection 2 क्या कहता है? टू रिपोर्ट टू द मेंबर्स ऑन अकाउंट्स एग्जामिन्ड एंड फाइनेंशियल स्टेटमेंट। एंड जब रिपोर्टिंग करना है तो प्रोविजंस ऑफ दिस एक्ट, द अकाउंटिंग स्टैंडर्ड्स, द स्टैंडर्ड्स ऑन ऑडिटिंग, द रूल्स एंड रेगुलेशंस मेड देयर अंडर, व्हाटएवर इंफॉर्मेशन यू हैव, है ना, एंड द नॉलेज दैट you will consider with respect to what? The state of affairs as on a particular date, and the profit and loss and cash flow during the year। बताओ इसमें क्या टफ है, ठीक है। देन लास्ट पॉइंट इज व्हाट? द जनरल प्रिंसिपल। सो उसमें देखो मेंशन है जनरल प्रिंसिपल ऑफ लॉ, क्या है? राइट ऑफ लियन। सो क्या क्या होना चाहिए? एक तो इट बिलोंग टू द क्लाइंट जो मनी ओ करता है, जिसको पैसा देना है, आपको लॉफुल पोजेशन से मिला है, इलीगल वे से नहीं लिया आपने उस पर वर्क किया है, ठीक है। एंड विद रिस्पेक्ट टू दैट वो फीस इज आउटस्टैंडिंग, सो ऑडिटर में एक्सरसाइज द राइट ऑफ लियन, ठीक है। फर्दर ये इम्प्रैक्टिकल है थोड़ा सा, बाय बिकॉज वी हैव सीन दैट 128 से रजिस्टर्ड ऑफिस पे रखना है या आपको अदर प्लेस पे रखना। फर्दर 230 एसए एंड आपका SQC 1 के अकॉर्डिंग तो जो वर्किंग पेपर्स है वो ऑडिटर की प्रॉपर्टी होती है, तो राइट ऑफ लियन उस केस में तो क्वेश्चन अराइज ही नहीं होता, ठीक है। सो विद दिस I'll conclude the today's session, ठीक है। I wanted to complete the duties also, है ना, but फिर ये सब रह जाता, रिवीजन रह जाता या इतने अच्छे से एक्सप्लेन नहीं होता. आई होप यू हैव अंडरस्टूड, यू हैव बेनिफिटेड फ्रॉम द रिवीजन. ठीक है. एंड स्टूडेंट्स, अगेन आई स्टार्टेड माय सेशन विद अ हम्बल रिक्वेस्ट. I'll end my session with the same humble request that start learning. Unless and until you will learn, you will not be able to fetch good marks. ठीक है. Learn करो, read करो, जैसे करना है करो, but read करो मॉड्यूल को. ठीक है. So clear. So now we'll be meeting tomorrow and we will be finishing up with section 143 and 1 or 2 more small topics as the time will permit. ठीक है. So thank you for being a patient listener. Thank you for the extra 7 minutes. ठीक है. Thank you and please start learning. Okay. So that's all for today. Goodbye. Thank you.